Chapter 1495. Lin Yuan frowned when he heard Mystic Moon's words. Improving Starweb was a huge matter that concerned the entire Radiance sect. This matter not only involved Shen Yu, but also the two majesties. It was no small matter. However, Lin Yuan's situation was equally important. After much consideration, Lin Yuan told Mystic Moon about his conjecture. However, Lin Yuan's explanation was very superficial and did not go into as much detail as he did to Mystic Moon. Hearing this, Shen Yu was shocked. He then held his breath and muttered to himself. Shen Yu turned to look at the two majesties in the hall and said, "Your Highness, the chief guard of the spirit guards, Night Leaning Moon, has been in the Radiant Moon Palace recently. I'll give Night Leaning Moon a call and ask her to cooperate with Little Highness and protect Little Highness in secret. This matter will be led by Little Highness. Night Leaning Moon will cooperate with Little Highness." Shen Yu paused for a moment before continuing. Before the Moon Empress went into seclusion, she told young Lord to do whatever he wanted to do. The Moon Empress will always be guarding you from behind. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan hung up. He was waiting for the chief guard of the spirit guards, Night Leaning Moon, to contact him. The chief guard of the spirit guards, Night Leaning Moon, was Liu Jie's master and not considered an outsider. However, he did not want to involve Liu Jie in this matter. Liu Jie also wanted to fight for the Radiance Envoy position. If the guess was wrong, the reputation of the people involved would be tarnished. During the Radiance 100 sequence selection, the damage to one's reputation wouldn't have any impact. However, in the selection of the Radiance Envoys, any damage to one's reputation could result in the loss of many votes. Thus, he planned to take responsibility for this matter himself. In less than 5 minutes, his cell phone rang. He picked up his phone and saw that it was an unknown number. His phone rarely rang, and whenever it did, it would be someone he was familiar with. This strange call was most likely from Yi Qing. When Lin Yuan picked up the phone, he heard a hoarse and cold voice. "Little Yuan, I'm Night Leaning Moon, a friend of your master. How do you need me to cooperate with you? Just let me know. I'll arrange it." Lin Yuan was slightly startled when he heard that. Lin Yuan wasn't startled because Night Leaning Moon had asked him to make the arrangements. After all, Shen Yu had said that Night Leaning Moon was here to cooperate with him. Lin Yuan was stunned by Night Leaning Moon's introduction of himself. Logically speaking, Night Leaning Moon had no problem introducing herself as the chief guard of the spirit guards and Liu Jie's master. But Night Leaning Moon claimed to be his master's friend. This meant that his master, the Moon Empress, was extremely important in Night Leaning Moon's heart. However, he had heard from Mystic Moon that the Moon Empress rarely interacted with the spirit guards. Since Night Leaning Moon had said that she would fully cooperate with him, he would make arrangements according to his thoughts. "Bureau Chief Yi, I will tell you my conjecture." After saying that, Lin Yuan told Night Leaning Moon his conjecture in detail, including what had happened to Ji Feng and the entire Ocean Sky lineage. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's description, Night Leaning Moon, who was on the other end of the phone, was silent for a long time before speaking. Even if the Whale Ocean Trade doesn't plan to do anything with over 10,000 Creation Masters' lives, just killing the Sea Sky clan, the #1 Creation Master race, is already a huge crime. "Little Yuan, I'll dispatch 5,000 spirit guards to receive you outside the Whale Ocean Trading House after you move out. In addition, I will give you a Night Jade. If you are attacked, the Night Jade will form a barrier around you. After Yi Yu is destroyed, I will automatically teleport to Yi Yu's location. Infiltrate the old residence of the Whale Ocean Trading Company. You can explore boldly. There's no need to worry about your safety." Just as the Whale Ocean Trade was gathering Creation Masters from 32 major cities in the name of experimentation, the Creation Masters were being recruited on a large scale. Night Leaning Moon had already received the news. Night Leaning Moon did not think that a top faction that had been in the Radiance Federation for decades would have any problems. However, Night Leaning Moon was still prepared to send 2 guard envoys to investigate. However, due to the conflict with the Sea Race, Night Leaning Moon had no choice but to send a large number of guard envoys and spirit guards to the coastal cities. This was to prevent the Sea Race from launching a sudden attack. As a result, there were not many people available in the imperial city of the spirit guards. Night-leaning Moon stayed in the Radiant Moon Palace and corrected the documents that were sent in from various places. The left administrators Wu Ming and the right administrator Yu Zhe were so busy that they couldn't free themselves. Night-leaning Moon was obviously busier than Zhu Ming and Yu Zhe. In Night-leaning Moon's opinion, Lin Yuan's conjecture was just wishful thinking. However, Lin Yuan dared to investigate for Hui Yaro's future and put himself in danger. Obviously, he already had the qualities to become a Radiance envoy. Night-leaning Moon had been so kind to Lin Yuan at first because of the Moon Empress and Liu Jie's relationship. That was why Night-leaning Moon loved the house and its crow. But now, Night-leaning Moon admired Lin Yuan from the bottom of her heart. Compared to his disciple, who only knew how to protect the Oathkeeper, Lin Yuan's vision was clearly much bigger. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan's face lit up. Lin Yuan was not afraid that his safety could not be guaranteed, but he was afraid that Bai Yang alone could not protect those 10,000 creation masters. Now that there were more than 5,000 spirit guards to provide support, once a conflict broke out, they would be killed. The spirit guards would immediately head over to receive the 10,000 creation masters. It was to ensure the safety of these creation masters. Lin Yuan expressed his gratitude. "Thank you, Chief Guard Yi," Night-leaning Moon said with a smile. "Little Yuan, you can just call me Aunt Yi. You don't have to call me Chief Guard Yi in private, and you don't have to address me as Lord." After speaking, Night-leaning Moon hung up the phone. Immediately after, Lin Yuan felt a touch of darkness quietly appear under the blazing sun. This touch of darkness sneaked into his manor and finally escaped into his room, landing accurately in his palm. It turned into a square jade pendant without ornaments. This must be the night jade that Night-leaning Moon mentioned. Night-leaning Moon's technique of extracting the night from the sun and turning it into a jade. This allowed Lin Yuan to deeply understand the concept of the word Lord. It could be said that the method that Night-leaning Moon used had already exceeded Lin Yuan's previous understanding. Seeing that it was almost time, Lin Yuan prepared to go out. At that moment, Lin Yuan received the third call in the morning. He picked up the phone, and it was still an unfamiliar number. However, this number was different from the unfamiliar number that Night-leaning Moon had called him previously. Lin Yuan subconsciously thought that this call was still from Night-leaning Moon. However, when he picked up the phone, Lin Yuan only heard a man's voice coming from the other end. "You're called Chu Yuan, right? I'm from the Whale Ocean Trade. There's still one more hour before the gathering time. I remind you not to be late. In addition, you don't need to bring any additional supplies. After arriving at the Whale Ocean Trade, the Whale Ocean Trade will provide you with everything. In addition, a few Pinnacle Class 4 creation masters of the Sea Sky lineage have the intention of accepting a few disciples. Therefore, Chu Yuan, you have to grasp this opportunity well and not waste it." Chapter 1496. Upon hearing the man's words, Lin Yuan was so angry that he almost laughed. The purpose of this call was that the Whale Ocean Trading hoped that everyone could come. Thus, they had specially sent an attendant to call to tempt the creation masters. The Sea Sky lineage's people were all dead, and only Jifeng was left. The Whale Ocean Trading's people were making a big deal out of the dead people to let these creation masters calm down for a few days. They were still determined to go to the Whale Ocean Trading. There was no need for Lin Yuan to expose this attendant and deal with it. "I'll head to the registration point immediately." After saying that, Lin Yuan pretended to be excited and said a few words to the attendant. The attendant hurriedly hung up the phone. He was obviously in a hurry to inform the others. Lin Yuan did not ride Blackie in the royal capital. After all, it was too conspicuous. Lin Yuan, who had changed his appearance with the faceless paper, called to order a silver divine travel black swallow. Riding on the divine travel black swallow, Lin Yuan went all the way to the Whale Ocean Trading's registration point. Lin Yuan arrived at the registration point 40 minutes earlier than the agreed time. However, when Lin Yuan arrived at the registration point, he realized that it was already filled with creation masters. It could be said that the Whale Ocean Trading's registration point was the place with the highest concentration of creation masters in the entire royal capital. Lin Yuan found that these creation masters were all so excited that their faces were flushed. Some were looking forward to joining the whale ocean trading, while others were looking forward to being chosen by the Sea Sky lineage's pinnacle Class 4 creation masters. They might even face some younger and more outstanding creation masters. These creation masters would even have a faint hostility toward each other. They obviously treated each other as competitors. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan could not help but feel a little upset. At that moment, compared to discovering the whale ocean trading's secret, Lin Yuan hoped that everything was just his imagination. However, it was impossible to say that it was all Lin Yuan's imagination. The call from the whale ocean trading's attendant in the morning was already enough to explain the problem to a large extent. Just as Lin Yuan was preparing to check the prices in the surrounding shops while he was waiting, Lin Yuan realized that most of the creation masters were looking at him wherever he looked. This made Lin Yuan a little stunned. Lin Yuan remembered that he had put on the faceless paper and had specially looked in the mirror before leaving. His spirit chi clothes were also very low-key and ordinary. What? Could it be that an ordinary person could attract attention? How could he look so ordinary? Why are you still staring at me? If you think I'm ugly, then most of the people here don't look much different from my ordinary face, right? Lin Yuan thought in his heart. However, he had always neglected something. The faceless paper could change one's appearance, but it could not change one's bone structure and temperament. The beauty of one's bones and temperament was in a mutually balanced relationship with one's appearance. A person with good looks is often less conspicuous than a person with average looks, and their bearing is less magnificent. Lin Yuan's appearance was now suppressed to the lowest point. Lin Yuan, who had a perfect bone appearance, was simply a large aura ejector. However, as a large aura jet, Lin Yuan did not know it at all. At that moment, an elder, who had been flattered by several middle-aged creation masters, walked toward Lin Yuan. He said straightforwardly, "Little brother, are you also here to participate in the Whale Ocean Trading Company's experiment?" Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan nodded with a smile. Upon seeing Lin Yuan's nod, the elder looked at Lin Yuan's chest. He noticed that Lin Yuan did not have a creation master crest on his chest, so he asked, "Little brother, you look young. You shouldn't be more than 18 years old, right? Little brother, are you a Class 1 creation master?" Lin Yuan's face focused on the side profile. With such a face shape, even if he was in his 30s or 40s, he would look like a youth in his 20s. As long as his skin did not look old, he would look like a youth in his 20s. It could be said that his face was young, and it had always been very vexing for Lin Yuan. In his original appearance, Lin Yuan, who was just over 18 years old, looked like a 16 or 17-year-old youth. Now that Lin Yuan was wearing the faceless paper, it only changed his facial features and did not change his bone structure. Therefore, he still looked young. Upon hearing the elder mention the Creation Master Crest, Lin Yuan simply took out his Class 2 Creation Master Crest and pinned it on the lapel on his left chest. The Creation Master Crest could best show a Creation Master's identity. Given Lin Yuan's current age, if he did not wear the Creation Master Crest on his chest, people would definitely ask questions. Of course, Lin Yuan did not take out the Class 2 Creation Master Crest that the Moon Empress had given him. If there was a moon totem beside the Class 2 Creation Master Crest on his chest right now, Jiangyi would be able to see the moon totem. No matter how many schemes the Whale Ocean Trade had, no matter how desperate they would still cancel their original plans. Upon seeing Lin Yuan wear the Class 2 Creation Master Crest on his chest, the elder let out a soft gasp. The other creation masters in the surroundings also looked at Lin Yuan in surprise. After all, a Class 2 creation master who looked 16 or 17 years old was truly too rare. Most likely, only those veteran powers and top powers would be able to nurture such a talented junior. After a short moment of surprise, the elder exclaimed, "Heroes come from the young." When I became a Class 2 creation master back then, I was already over 30 years old. If I could become a Class 2 creation master at your age, this old man's creation master standard should be able to improve further. Through the creation master crest on the elder's chest, Lin Yuan understood that the elder was a Class 3 creation master. If he improved further, he would become a Class 4 creation master. Generally, if a Class 2 Creation Master before the age of 20 didn't have any accidents, they would basically be able to become a Class 4 Creation Master at the age of 80. The average age of a Radiance King Class expert was already close to 200 years old. For King Class experts, 80 years old was only the prime of their life. Zhong Ziyi and Jiyu Lang were already pinnacle Class 3 Creation Masters. Through some special means, the two of them could concoct Class 4 spirit liquids in a very short period of time. However, Zhong Ziyi and Jiyu Lang did not choose to take the Class 4 Creation Master exam. It wasn't that Zhong Ziyi and Jiyu Lang did not want to, but the Class 4 Creation Master exam was no longer as simple as the Class 1 to Class 3 Creation Master exams. The Class 4 Creation Master exam would last for a week. During the week, the Class 4 Creation Master who participated in the Class 4 Creation Master exam would draw random exam questions based on the results. They would conduct 7 tests. It also meant that they would have to concoct at least 7 bottles of Class 4 spirit liquids. It was easy for Zhong Ziyi and Jiyu Lang to use special means to concoct a bottle of Class 4 spirit liquids. However, if they used special means, they would often overdraft themselves. If they overdrafted too much, their roots would be damaged. Chapter 1497. Lin Yuan had participated in the All-Star match and was selected as a lucky spectator to challenge the Barbarian Snake Guild Club. He had already shown his face in the entire Radiance Federation. However, no one was able to match Lin Yuan's identity with the Moon Empress disciple. After the Radiance 100 sequence ended, Lin Yuan was confident that Black's limelight would suppress everyone who participated in the Radiance 100 sequence and become the topic of discussion on the star web. Black naturally needed an opponent after becoming the topic of discussion. If there wasn't an opponent, this topic wouldn't be able to be dragged and extended. Therefore, Lin Yuan planned to participate in the Class 3 and Class 4 Creation Master exams after the Radiance 100 sequence ended. He immediately went to participate in the Class 3 and Class 4 Creation Master exams and released the news that he had become a Class 4 Creation Master. This way, his two identities could compete with each other on the star web. Lin Yuan would also be able to harvest more power of faith. In fact, Lin Yuan's Creation Master abilities weren't strong, and he didn't rely on traditional Creation Master skills. Instead, he relied on his unique body and the Spirit Lock spatial zone. If it was in the past, Lin Yuan wouldn't even dare to participate in the Class 4 Creation Master exams. Even Class 3 Creation Master exams wouldn't dare to casually participate in them. It would be fine if he drew a test to enhance a Bronze or Silver Fae. If he drew a test to evolve a Platinum Fae into a Diamond Fae, it would be very easy for other Class 3 Creation Masters. Lin Yuan wouldn't be able to do it. However, Lin Yuan now had Genius, and Genius could easily handle the content of the Class 4 Creation Master exam. During the process of the exam, due to the special nature of the Creation Master's spirit fluid concoction, no one would supervise it. Lin Yuan might have used a special method, but who could say that Genius and the 100 Questions Beast Legion weren't his own strength? Lin Yuan pinned the Class 2 Creation Master crest on his clothes. Lin Yuan could clearly feel that there were plenty of Creation Masters looking at him with vigilance and faint rejection. It was obvious that they were treating him as a competitor. The old man who had just spoken to Lin Yuan was carefully observing him. According to the spirit chi clothes that Lin Yuan was wearing, the elder was certain that Lin Yuan, a talented Class 2 Creation Master, didn't have any special foundation. Those with foundation wouldn't choose to wear spirit chi clothes that were weaved with bronze sandworm silk. Young brother, there is a high chance that you will be favored by the Sea Sky lineage's leaders during this trade. I might even be accepted as a disciple by the Sea Sky lineage's pinnacle Class 4 Creation Master. The old man's words imperceptibly drew a lot of hatred for Lin Yuan. Of course, compared to jealousy, more Creation Masters envied Lin Yuan. There might be a huge difference in status between Creation Masters and other lifestyle class spirit chi professionals. In the small circle of Creation Masters, the difference in status was even greater. In just a few minutes, a pinnacle Class 4 Creation Master had taken a fancy to him and was praising him profusely. It was enough to prove his strength. This ordinary-looking youth might really catch the eye of a pinnacle Class 4 Creation Master from the Sea Sky lineage and be accepted as a disciple. At the thought of this, many of the 1- and 2-star creation masters took the initiative to greet Lin Yuan and build a relationship with him. Not far away, the attendants of the Whale Ocean Trade's 10,000 Banners branch were currently verifying the identities of the customers. Seeing that almost everyone had arrived, the attendant summoned a green elemental substance. The green elemental substance let out a shrill roar. In the end, the roar simulated a human voice. However, the roar simulated by the green elemental substance seemed a little sharp and hoarse. "Everyone, get ready. A floating light feather crane will come to pick you up in 3 minutes and bring you to the old mansion." Lin Yuan used Morbius True Data to investigate the green elemental substance. After probing, Lin Yuan found that the green elemental substance was a source-type item Source Wind. However, this Platinum 3 Fantasy 2 Source Wind was really trash to nurture. Using mottled wind elements to nurture Source Wind was simply a waste of a good thing like Source Wind. However, using Source Wind to transmit a voice was much more effective than using a loudspeaker to shout. Upon hearing the attendant's words, the creation masters no longer chatted with each other. They all waited with burning eyes, hoping that this trip could give them a good future. Even if they could not be accepted as disciples by the Sea Sky Lineage's Class 4 creation masters, it was also good to be able to join the Whale Ocean Trade. After all, it was much better to have a top faction as a backer than to fight alone. In any case, the top factions hired creation masters, and the creation masters only worked for the top factions. They would not be lacking in any remuneration. In fact, the remuneration was even better than taking on part-time jobs outside. In less than 3 minutes, Lin Yuan saw a row of huge crane shadows coming from the horizon. The floating light feather crane was a type of crane species Fey with an extremely powerful bloodline. Not only was it comfortable to ride on, but its speed was also the fastest among diamond flying type Feys. Only a top faction like the Whale Ocean Trade could easily send dozens of diamond floating light feather cranes to carry passengers. Before Grey had become a favored spirit, it had been a member of the feather crane species like the floating light feather crane. Just this alone was enough to see how precious the floating light feather crane was. The fact that the Whale Ocean Trade was willing to use the floating light feather crane to carry the creation masters to the old mansion made many creation masters smile. The floating light feather crane was enough to show the Whale Ocean Trade's deep sincerity. After boarding the floating light feather crane, Lin Yuan found that the attendants on the floating light feather crane's back had a very good attitude toward the creation masters. The people riding the floating light feather cranes looked at the creation masters with calm eyes. Lin Yuan could keenly sense a trace of mockery in those calm eyes. Upon seeing this scene, Lin Yuan thought to himself, "It seems like only a small number of people in the Whale Ocean Trade know about the plan. If a person was used to treating creation masters as prey, then no matter how high the creation master's status was, they wouldn't be able to survive. This person could no longer maintain a trace of respect for creation masters." That made sense. The Whale Ocean Trade was a major project that involved the lives and deaths of entire clans. It would be strange if many people knew about it. Perhaps only the higher-ups of the forces would know about it. Since the person controlling the drifting light feather crane was clearly aware of the situation, Lin Yuan simply walked forward, intending to probe for information through this person's mouth. As a result, when Lin Yuan walked closer, before Lin Yuan could speak, this person spoke first. "Before I came, the family head gave me a mission. Our Whale Ocean Trading Company's experiment is of great importance. You are not allowed to bring your cell phones with you when participating in the experiment. Now, give me your phones. After the experiment is over, I will return them to you." Upon hearing this person's words, Lin Yuan stopped in his tracks. The expressions of the other creation masters behind Lin Yuan suddenly darkened. Cell phones were personal items that involved personal privacy. Even an ordinary person would feel conflicted when their cell phone was taken away. Moreover, the ones who had their cell phones taken away were a group of creation masters who were usually aloof. Chapter 1498. However, Lin Yuan knew that if he did not hand over the cell phone, this person would not let it go. The Whale Ocean Trade would never allow the creation masters who participated in the experiment to leak the information. When the man had turned around, Lin Yuan had felt a sense of pressure. He had also felt this pressure from Du and He and Ji Feng. This meant that the person sent by the Whale Ocean Trading Company to control the floating light feather crane was an emperor rank expert. If someone did not hand over their phone, there was a high possibility of bloodshed. After all, it was always a good idea to make an example out of the crowd. If there were emperor-class experts among the creation masters, both sides would clash. It was very likely that the floating light feather crane would not be able to return to the old residence of the Whale Ocean Trading Company. This way, he would not be able to smoothly participate in the Whale Ocean's trade plan. As for those creation masters who had successfully rushed to the Whale Ocean for trade, they would most likely encounter an accident within a short period of time. With that in mind, Lin Yuan did not intend to give this person a chance to make an example out of him. He took the lead and handed over his phone. Before boarding the floating light feather crane, he had already contacted Night Leaning Moon for the last time. Night Leaning Moon informed him that all 5,000 spirit guards were in position. They were just waiting for Lin Yuan to crush the Night Jade as a signal. Everyone had a herd mentality. As the leader, Lin Yuan was the first to hand over the cell phone. The other creation masters who weren't willing to resist had also handed over their cell phones. More than half of the creation masters who were unwilling to hand over their cell phones had already handed over their cell phones. Thus, he no longer persisted. Soon, all the creation masters on the back of the floating light feather crane handed over their cell phones. The other floating light feather cranes did not have a leader like Lin Yuan. The process of collecting the phones was not going smoothly, and some of them had already gotten into conflict. However, they were still in midair and had yet to reach the old residence of the Whale Ocean Trading Company. Creation masters could summon phase to escape. The person riding the floating light feather crane played the role of the bad cop, while the attendant played the role of the good cop. The Whale Ocean Trade Union also played the role of the bad cop. Finally, all the creation masters handed over their cell phones. At this moment, many of the creation masters were frowning. He vaguely sensed that something was not quite right. However, the extremely fast floating light feather crane had already carried the creation masters back to the Whale Ocean Trading Company's old residence. When he arrived at the Whale Ocean Trading Company's old mansion, he sized up the surroundings. The old residence of the Whale Ocean Trading Company had an elegant environment, and it was landscaped with gardens. Looking at it made people feel relaxed and at ease. From the interior design and layout of the old residence, one could see the foundation of Whale Ocean Trading Company as one of the three peak powers. Within the study of the Whale Ocean Trading Company's old residence, Di Wantian and Di Wancheng were standing beside a black-robed figure. Di Wantian, who had always been imposing, spoke gently to the black-robed figure. "Third sister, your current condition is not suitable for sunlight, but we don't have much time left. I didn't expect the Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift to open so quickly. Our Whale Ocean trade gathered so many creation masters in the name of an experiment. It was a risky move in itself. According to the Star Web, many people have already attributed this matter to our Whale Ocean trade. Now that the market prices are changing and creation masters are in a shortage of resources, many people have already attributed this matter to our Whale Ocean trade. Even if they can't leave now, they will definitely come to visit our Whale Ocean trade in a week. Whether we can succeed or not depends on you, third sister." A soft and weak voice came from the figure under the black robe. "Big brother, I can persist. The four-legged beast region is ultimately an apex faction supported by Hearthstone. Hearthstone's own creation master resources aren't strong, but they have spent a lot to strengthen the four-legged beast region's creation master resources. It's all thanks to Hearthstone's plan to let the four-legged beast region monopolize the beast-type Fey market. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to absorb so many bodies with rich knowledge. I have already absorbed all the Class 4 creation masters in the four-legged beast region, but I haven't absorbed the creation masters below Class 3. It just so happens that I will bring them, the creation masters that arrived a few days ago, and the creation masters that just arrived today into the hidden room. I am confident that I can reach Class 5 after consuming half of the creation master bodies." Di Wantian immediately got Di Wancheng to make the arrangements. Since this morning, D.I. Wanching's expression had been a little flustered. D.I. Wanching might be an immortal now, but this matter was too important. Not only was it related to the Whale Ocean Trade's honor, but it also involved the lives of tens of thousands of creation masters. D.I. Wanching couldn't help but ask after hearing that his third sister only needed to consume half of the creation master bodies to reach Class 5. Third sister, if you are only going to consume half of the creation master bodies, what are you going to do with the remaining half? The black-robed woman's soft and weak voice echoed again. However, this soft and weak voice's words were abnormally ruthless. Second brother, after becoming a Class 5 creation master, don't stop me from absorbing the bodies with rich knowledge. That half of the creation master bodies will be the dessert to stabilize my rank as a Class 5 creation master. I am able to become a Class 5 creation master because of my mutated soul and my sacred source lifeform, the rotten body ginseng. My sacred source lifeform, the rotten body ginseng, is now at the pinnacle of Class 7. This time, these tens of thousands of creation masters might be able to upgrade my sacred source lifeform, the rotten body ginseng, to Class 8. D.I. Wantian and D.I. Wanching were shocked when they heard this. According to D.I. Wantian and D.I. Wanching's impression, shouldn't their third sister's sacred source lifeform be at Class 6? Shouldn't it be in the growth phase? How did it suddenly become the growth phase, and at the pinnacle of Class 7? D.I. Wanching was the family head of the Whale Ocean Trade and a high-class immortal expert, but his sacred source lifeform was only at the elementary Class 7. If his third sister's sacred source lifeform was at the pinnacle Class 7, then what kind of strength would she have? His third sister had only said that her sacred source lifeform was at Class 7 today. Could it be that third sister would hide something from him and W.N. Cheng? But D.I. Wantian obviously didn't have the time to ask about this. Compared to all this, it was more important for his third sister to become a Class 5 creation master. Only when his third sister became a Class 5 creation master would she be able to protect the entire Whale Ocean Trade from the Lord's attack. She would bring glory to the Whale Ocean Trade. While D.I. Wantian and D.I. Wanching were busy with the black-robed woman, they didn't notice the exceptionally profound look in the black-robed woman's eyes. That profound look was indifferent, distant, and had a hint of mockery. It was as if she was an existence that was above humans and looked down on human lives. Thinking about the feast in a moment, the black-robed woman's lips curled into a dangerous smile. Chapter 1499. Many of the creation masters thought that after arriving at the Whale Ocean Trading Company's old residence, they would be treated well. Tonight, the Whale Ocean Trading Company would host a banquet to welcome them. During the banquet, several Class 4 creation masters from the Sea Sky lineage would be attending. After all, among the tens of thousands of creation masters, there were close to 10 Class 4 creation masters. Among the 10 Class 4 creation masters, 2 of them were at the advanced stage, and 1 was at the pinnacle stage. These creation masters were all big shots in the Radiance sect. Any pinnacle Class 4 creation master would be fought over and fawned over by the top factions. If this pinnacle Class 4 creation master joined a new top faction like Li Yun Avian Khan, he would immediately be promoted as an elder. The pinnacle Class 4 creation master who came to the Whale Ocean Trading Company was called Crane G. Among the pinnacle Class 4 creation masters, she was a rare female creation master. Crane G had come to the Whale Ocean Trading Company because she was an old friend of the Sea Sky lineage's creation masters. However, Crane G had not seen or heard any news of her old friends for over a decade. Rather than saying that Crane G was here to participate in the Whale Ocean Trading Company's experiment, it would be better to say that Crane G was here to visit her friends. At that moment, the creation masters who came to the Whale Ocean Trading Company's creation masters' original plans were all in vain. The actual situation was completely different from what these creation masters thought. The Whale Ocean Trading Company seemed to be in a hurry, and one of the myriad flags elder immediately appeared and spoke to everyone. Everyone here is the latest batch of creation masters to arrive at the Whale Ocean Trade Union. The creation masters who arrived earlier have already started working. The four-legged beast region's high-class creation masters have also been hired by our Whale Ocean Trading Company. Everyone, please go and meet up with the other creation masters immediately. Our Whale Ocean Trading Company will then assign all of you jobs. As soon as the Myriad Flags elder spoke, many of the Creation Masters' faces turned completely gloomy. The most gloomy one was the Pinnacle Class 4 Creation Master, Crane G. He took a step forward and asked the elder in an arrogant tone. Di Zhanhong, you should know me, right? Why are you in such a hurry? You don't even give us time to settle down and rest. Elder Di Zhanhong of the Whale Ocean Trade's 10,000 Banners lineage looked at the person who spoke. He immediately felt a sense of foreboding. Crane Concubine's temper was not good, and she was shrewd with age. It was not easy to fool her. However, since things had already come to this, Di Zhanhong couldn't be bothered to brush Crane Concubine off. Isn't it because our Whale Ocean Trade has encountered some problems? The elders of the Ocean Sky lineage are all working overtime to solve these problems. It just so happens that Senior Cranebell is here, and there are so many Creation Masters here. I wanted to call all of you over to take a look and see who can find a solution. From the moment she boarded the floating light feather crane and had her phone taken away, Crane Concubine had sensed that something was wrong with this trip. The old fogies of the Sea Sky bloodline were all extremely knowledgeable. Back then, the Sea Sky lineage's Grand Elder was only one step away from becoming a Class 5 Creation Master. It was a problem that even the Sea Sky lineage's first Elder could not solve, so there was no way he could. If the Class 1 and Class 2 Creation Masters went over, they would only be able to watch the show. It wasn't even enough to add to the chaos. If a group of Creation Masters squeezed together noisily, how could they concoct the spirit fluid with peace of mind? As long as one of them sneezed, everyone's spirit fluid would have to be redone. Furthermore, the Sea Sky lineage's Grand Elder was rather hospitable. Under normal circumstances, when so many Creation Masters arrived, there would definitely be plenty of attendants lining the streets to welcome them. It wouldn't be like this, where they didn't even have a place to stay. This made Crane Concubine feel as though they were a group of blackback mountain boars. They were being chased out of the slaughterhouse by the Fey breeding base's administrator. Ever since their phones had been taken away, many of the Creation Masters had been suppressing their anger. Now that Crane Concubine, who was a Pinnacle Class 4 Creation Master, was the first to speak, a few Class 3 Creation Masters responded. I like to work in a quiet environment. If the Sea Sky lineage's elders and the Four-Legged Beast region's high-class Creation Masters can't solve this problem, we won't be able to help even if we go. I have something that I need to make a call to contact my students. I haven't officially participated in the experiment, and I don't know what the experiment's purpose is. It shouldn't be a problem to take back my phone and make a call, right? As soon as these words were spoken, most of the Class 1 and Class 2 Creation Masters responded in unison. Apart from Crane Concubine, the few Class 4 Creation Masters were frowning tightly. They acted as though they were determined to make Whale Ocean Trade's Myriad Flags Elder, Di Zhanhong, give them an explanation. At the Class 4 Creation Master stage, they didn't need to be afraid of offending any factions. If one faction didn't like them, there would be others who did. Creation Masters were the #1 productive force. Therefore, when faced with the Whale Ocean Trade's attitude, these Class 4 Creation Masters had the intention to retreat. These Class 4 Creation Masters had the intention to retreat and did not plan to continue staying to help the Whale Ocean Trade. Lin Yuan looked at the current scene full of gunpowder and thought, this is bad. Although he was now at the Whale Ocean Trade's old residence, he didn't gather with the other Creation Masters who had rushed to the Whale Ocean Trade in advance. Firstly, Lin Yuan wasn't sure of the Whale Ocean Trade's purpose. Secondly, Lin Yuan was afraid that if he made a move, he wouldn't be able to protect those Creation Masters who weren't here. Therefore, Lin Yuan had to think of a way to ensure that these Creation Masters wouldn't clash with the Whale Ocean Trade and agree to gather first. This was the only way to make the Whale Ocean Trade reveal its hidden fangs. It would let Lin Yuan understand the Whale Ocean Trade's true plot. Lin Yuan, who was hidden in the crowd, squeezed through the crowd and stood out. Why don't we go and see the situation first? I'm friends with the young family head of the Sea Sky lineage, Ji Feng. I'm mainly here to visit a friend. Lin Yuan looked at Di Zhanhong and asked, why are you here? Ji Feng should be at the experiment site, right? Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Di Zhanhong stared at Lin Yuan for a long time before replying, "That's right. Young Master Ji Feng and the Sea Sky lineage's elders are at the experiment site. If you're visiting a friend, you can naturally reunite with them when you reach the experiment site." Upon hearing Di Zhanhong's words, Lin Yuan carefully thought about the word reunite. The Myriad Flag's lineage had personally killed the Sea Sky lineage's elder. In the eyes of the Myriad Flag's lineage, Ji Feng, who had luckily escaped, should be a dead man. He said it was a reunion, but didn't he just want to send them to their deaths? When Crane Maiden heard Di Zhanhong say that the Sea Sky lineage's elders were at the experiment site, she took a step back. She planned to wait until she saw the Sea Sky lineage's elders and not bother about Di Zhanhong's rudeness. Chapter 1500. However, even though Crane Concubine had taken a step back, the other Class 3 and Class 4 creation masters didn't plan to back down. As a result, the atmosphere was still very tense. However, without the Class 4 creation master, Crane Concubine, taking the lead, the other two Class 4 creation masters did not say anything. The situation on both sides was obviously leaning towards Di Zhanhong's direction. Right at this moment, a low voice sounded. "My apologies, everyone. Our Whale Ocean Trading Company has been extremely busy with the experiments. We didn't have the time to provide you with the best conditions. How about this? Follow me to the location of the experiment first. After gathering, my Whale Ocean Trading Company will host the grandest banquet for everyone." A tall man in a plain golden robe walked towards the crowd. This man had a pair of phoenix eyes and looked somewhat evil. However, Lin Yuan could faintly see a trace of heaviness and hesitation on Zhong Xian's calm face. When Di Zhanhong saw who it was, he hurriedly lowered his head and greeted Second Master. Di Wancheng waved his hand at Di Zhanhong, motioning for him to leave first. Di Wancheng had recently become a hot topic among the various major forces. Ever since news of Di Wancheng's breakthrough broke out in the Whale Ocean Trading Company, which originally belonged to the top 3 factions, had become one of the top 3 factions. He was able to suppress the Brahma bug cage and the Rhine life form. Now that Di Wancheng, who was an immortal expert, had arrived, the Class 3 creation masters who were originally in confrontation with Di Zhanhong no longer had any face left. Only Lady Crane had the right to speak to Di Wancheng on equal footing. But now, it was clear that Tsurumi was not going to stand up for him. As a result, those creation masters who were originally resisting also lost the courage to resist. Di Wancheng nodded at Crane Lady as a form of greeting. Then, his gaze landed on Lin Yuan. With this glance, Di Wancheng's eyes immediately focused. Lin Yuan's aura was truly special, but after sensing, he was only a B-rank spirit chi professional. They couldn't create any waves at all. Di Wancheng had been able to see through him at a glance because he had asked the princess to deactivate the concealment function on his grade. Otherwise, Di Wancheng wouldn't have been able to see through him with a single glance. Di Wancheng would have definitely tested him. Just when Lin Yuan thought that Di Wancheng would look away from him, Di Wancheng said, "Don't worry. You said you're good friends with Feng Er? Feng Er has been living in seclusion with an elder of the Ocean Sky branch for nearly 10 years. 10 years ago, you were still a child, right?" Lin Yuan replied with a smile. The friendships formed in childhood are even deeper. I remember that the Myriad Flag's lineage's young patriarch, Zhai Hao, had publicly expressed his friendship with Ji Feng on the star web. It's just that I can't compare to Zhai Hao, who was able to meet Ji Feng during the 10 years that Ji Feng was in seclusion. Upon hearing Lin Yuan mention Zhai Hao, Di Wancheng's expression clearly changed. Lin Yuan keenly captured this trace of change. Di Wancheng looked at Lin Yuan as though he was looking at a dead man and then said to everyone, "Don't worry. Follow me. Due to the importance of this experiment, our Whale Ocean Trading Company has specially built an underground palace. When you enter the underground palace, I hope that you will line up on your own and not make any noise." If Di Zhanhong had said this earlier, those Class 2 and Class 3 creation masters would definitely reveal an unhappy expression. But now that it was said by Di Wancheng, it was different. Lin Yuan originally wanted to continue blending into the crowd and stand in an inconspicuous position. He heard Crane Concubine say in a voice that only the two of them could hear, "Just walk beside me. You can walk beside me. You should be a member of the whale ocean trade, right?" The corners of Lin Yuan's mouth twitched. Then, he quickly understood why Crane Concubine would think so. Lin Yuan remembered that he and Crane Concubine were riding on a floating light feather crane. At that time, the person driving the floating light feather crane and the attendant who received the report were obviously playing the good cop and the bad cop. When playing the good cop and the bad cop could not solve the problem, they needed a spy who went with the flow. The person who played the good cop and the bad cop would eventually achieve his goal. When Lin Yuan collected the Creation Master's cell phone and confronted Di Zhanhong with many Creation Masters, he played the role of a spy. However, all of this was just a coincidence for Lin Yuan to achieve his goal. Of course, Lin Yuan would not explain these to Crane Concubine. Lin Yuan did not nod or deny it. Instead, he cupped his hands at Crane Concubine and obediently followed her. Lin Yuan's behavior made Crane Concubine's stomach surge up, and she almost burst out. Crane Concubine only felt that the kid beside her was simply a piece of troublesome meat. Soon, under Di Wanqing's lead, everyone arrived at the entrance to the underground space that Di Wanqing had mentioned. This underground space was built on the mountain behind the Whale Ocean Trading Company. It was similar to the underground space that Lin Yuan had built in the Return from Faraway Mansion. When the Whale Ocean Trading Company built this underground space, it could order the spirit craftsmen to use a large number of suzerain metals and spatial spiritual materials. The underground space was built like an iron cage that was isolated from the world. This way, everything that happened in the underground space would not be known by the people on the surface. Di Wanqing single-handedly opened the underground space's door from the outside. Lin Yuan soon smelled a faint decaying aura. This smell of decay. The Creation Masters were already used to it. This was because after many spiritual materials decayed, they would have more medicinal properties than when they were fresh. Therefore, the Creation Masters were already used to this smell of decay. After passing through the door and entering the underground space, there was a long tunnel with strange fire lamps hanging on both sides. The underground space looked almost as bright as the outside. After Di Wanqing opened the door, he did not enter first. Instead, he guarded the door. He watched as the Creation Masters passed through the space tunnel and headed toward the underground space. After the last Creation Master passed through the door, Di Wanqing entered the tunnel and closed the door tightly. The closed door was like a hungry beast's tightly shut mouth. It made the Creation Masters at the back of the team feel a chill down their backs. Lin Yuan and Crane Concubine walked at the front of the team. Lin Yuan could not remember how many steps he had gone down. Since entering the tunnel, he had walked for a total of over 20 minutes. From the height, Lin Yuan was currently 800 meters below the ground. This depth was much deeper than the Return from Faraway Mansion's underground space. At that moment, a desperate curse came from below. What did the Whale Ocean Trading Company do to my grandfather, father, and uncle? Why haven't I seen them for 4 days? And why did you kill the Class 3 Creation Masters of the Four-Legged Beast region? Does the Whale Ocean Trading Company want to destroy the Four-Legged Beast region? Chapter 1501. Along with these desperate curses, there were many other noises. Such a loud noise should have reached everyone's ears when they entered the space tunnel. However, it was only at this part that everyone heard it. It was obvious that a large amount of sound-isolating metal spirit materials had been added to the walls in the first half. And now, this part of the wall was no longer filled with metal spirit materials that could isolate sound. This meant that the people of the Whale Ocean Trading Company were no longer afraid that the public would learn the truth. This mournful voice sounded rather familiar to Lin Yuan, as though he had heard it somewhere before. The mournful screams and other noisy curses caused the orderly Creation Master team to be in chaos. Just at this moment, a wave of air surged behind him. The shockwave was so powerful that it pushed everyone, including Crane Concubine, out of the tunnel. The people who were pushed out of the tunnel by a huge force were placed on an empty space of several thousand square meters. A large number of strange flame lamps illuminated the empty space, making it look somewhat eerie. At that moment, A large number of creation masters were squeezing in this empty space. A youth was kneeling on the ground nearby. His eyes were filled with anger and despair as he held 3 corpses in his arms. A man and a figure shrouded in black robes sat on 2 giant stone thrones. The man's face was filled with excitement and longing. It was as if a reality that he had been looking forward to was about to come true. The figure shrouded in the black robe was like a monster hidden in the darkness, not revealing any aura. At that moment, Crane Concubine shouted with a gloomy expression. "Di what's going on?" Crane Concubine had clearly recognized the man sitting on the giant stone throne. Di pretended not to hear Heji's words. His gaze pierced through the crowd and asked the person at the back of the crowd. "Second brother, did anyone escape?" Di who was at the back of the crowd, flew over to Di side. He sat on the empty stone throne on Di left side and said, "Big brother, everything went smoothly." After speaking, Di looked at the tens of thousands of creation masters behind him. His tone was heavy as he asked the figure shrouded in a black robe, "Third sister, if you can rely on half of the creation masters to become a Class 5 creation master, why don't you leave half of them behind?" At this time and place, under such circumstances, Di did not conceal his words at all. There was no need to hide anything. There were indeed pinnacle Class 4 creation masters like Crane Concubine here. However, as a pinnacle Class 4 creation master, Crane Concubine only had the talent as a creation master. She didn't have the talent as a combat class spirit chi professional like the Moon Empress, Chef Supreme, or Bamboo Monarch. The S-rank spirit chi professional, Crane Concubine, was only at the pinnacle of Emperor class even after using her 3 main phase. Di and Di had reached the immortal realm long ago. The Whale Ocean Trading Company hadn't divulged this information in order to conceal its power. Therefore, Di didn't care about anyone present. In order to build this underground space, the Whale Ocean Trading Company had even used a Monarch rank space-type metal, space-shattering purple gold. Even if an expert who had just reached the immortal realm used his full power in this underground space, he would still be able to escape. The wall with the addition of the Void Break Fund could also completely block out the energy fluctuations within. The underground space wrapped in space-shattering purple gold was like a different world that was imprisoned. Ads by Google equals Ds by Google. Push, only the experts at the peak of Immortal Realm could break the purple gold cage. But where would the peak of Immortal Realm experts come from? If there really was a peak of Immortal Realm expert, the Whale Ocean Trading Company would have long been gone. It wouldn't be Di and Di turn to take the lives of these creation masters and pave the way for Third Sister to become a Class 5 creation master. Di undisguised words caused all the creation masters to look at Di and the black-robed figure sitting on the limestone throne in shock. Di might not have said it clearly, but all the creation masters had already guessed the situation. Was the Whale Ocean Trading trying to use the lives of all the creation masters here to create a Class 5 creation master? How would the Whale Ocean Trading dare to do so? What was the difference between the Whale Ocean Trading Company doing this and cutting off the roots of radiance? More than half of these 10,000 creation masters were below the age of 40. They had great potential for development. If these 10,000 creation masters were to work for 10 years, they would be able to provide at least 80 million spirit chi professionals with phase. They would also be able to provide follow-up enhancement services for 10 million phase. The resources of the creation masters were almost equivalent to the strength of the Federation. Before Di and the black-robed figure could respond to Di Crane Concubine immediately summoned all her phase. 3 figures shrouded in mist appeared beside Crane Concubine. They surrounded Crane Concubine in the middle in a triangular formation. These 3 figures didn't conceal the aura of creation seed phase at all. 3 kinds of world forces, which were almost the same, diffused in this underground space. However, when the world powers touched the wall, they couldn't penetrate it at all. Crane Concubine, who noticed the situation, knew that it wasn't good. The Whale Ocean Trading Company was indeed prepared. Crane Concubine summoned her phase. She wanted to make the first move and escape this underground space. Now, It seemed that it was impossible. Crane Concubine shouted at the three people on the green stone throne. What is the Whale Ocean Trading Company trying to do? You have to think twice before you do anything. Using the blood of tens of thousands of creation masters to pave the path to become a Class 5 creation master. How can you do such a heinous thing? When you became a Class 1 creation master, didn't the mentor who assessed you tell you that the most important thing for a creation master is the inheritance? Upon hearing Di Wancheng's words, Di Wantian's face revealed obvious displeasure. Facing Crane Concubine's questioning, Di Wantian's face turned cold and flipped his hand. A palm-sized silver bird appeared in Di Wantian's hand. The moment this silver bird appeared, it immediately flickered 3 times like an arrow that left the bow. Immediately after, 3 bowl-sized black holes appeared in the bellies of the 3 young girls who were surrounded by smoke and sand. Through the black holes, Lin Yuan could see the robes of the spirit chi professionals behind them. Not a single drop of blood flowed out of the wounds, but the 3 fays in human form all collapsed on the ground with a weak aura. They didn't even have the ability to get up. Lin Yuan used Morbius True Data to investigate the silver bird that returned to Di Wantian's hand. After investigating, Lin Yuan realized that he could only see that this silver bird was called the Sky-Splitting Falcon. As for its abilities and exclusive skills, they were all question marks and couldn't be detected at all. It was obvious that the Sky-Splitting Falcon's strength had reached the immortal realm. Chapter 1502. However, based on the attack just now, this Sky-Splitting Falcon was undoubtedly a spatial fae. The moment the Sky-Splitting Falcon pierced through the 3 crane species fays, it used the power of space to expel their internal organs. Such an attack was truly cruel. Seeing that her fays were severely injured, Crane Concubine looked at Di Wantian with a sinister expression. However, Crane Concubine could not do anything at all. Immortality was a hurdle that Crane Concubine could not climb over. It was not because Crane Concubine was a pinnacle Class 4 creation master and could not concoct a spirit fluid that could promote fays to immortality. It was also because Crane Concubine could not find a divine immortal expert to help her main fae transcend the tribulation. It was because Crane Concubine's talent was limited, and she could not break through the limit of S-rank Spirit Chi professionals to become an S+ Spirit Chi professional. This made Crane Concubine unable to contract an immortal fae even if she had gone through the rolling grade. In the face of life and death, only strength was the hard truth. Di Wantian's strength was a knife across Crane Concubine's neck. As long as Di Wantian wanted to, he could take Crane Concubine's life at any time. But at that moment, Crane Concubine was not only thinking about her own life and death. She was more worried that these creation masters would all die in the whale ocean trade. That would undoubtedly be a Radiance's death. Di Wantian sneered and looked at Crane Concubine. What do you mean by committing atrocities? Spirit Chi professionals can kill and snatch treasures, but they are just following the most primitive law of the jungle. I used other creation masters' lives to pave the way for my third sister, and I am also following the most basic law of the jungle. You used your life to witness the birth of a Class 5 creation master, and it is originally your merit. When you die, it will be the most glorious moment of your life. Di Wantian's words were shameless, and Crane Concubine was so angry that her body was trembling. At that moment, Crane Concubine, who had never been old, suddenly felt that she was old. After understanding the true purpose of the Myriad Flags lineage, Crane Concubine knew that the Sea Sky lineage was not going to hide from the world. Instead, they had all been murdered by the whale ocean trade. Crane Concubine, who was quick-witted, decided to take the risk. She would sacrifice herself and the creation seed phase that had accompanied her for over 200 years to exchange for the black-robed figure. Now that the black-robed figure was dead, the whale ocean trade's Myriad Flags lineage's desire to have a Class 5 creation master was also gone. He didn't dare to guarantee that the enraged Di Wantian and Di Wancheng wouldn't make a move on these creation masters. At the very least, it gave Di Wantian and Di Wancheng a trace of reason to let these creation masters off. Just as Crane Concubine was about to circulate her spiritual power, she felt a pair of strong hands supporting her trembling body. Crane turned her head and found that the person who was supporting her was the spy that she thought was holding her. Just as Crane Maiden was about to push this ordinary-looking but charismatic youth away, Lin Yuan spoke. "Senior, leave the rest to me." Before Lin Yuan could finish speaking, a sudden change occurred. 2 screams and a sorrowful wail rang out from the direction of the throne. A small black insect stabbed its stinger into Di Wantian, Di Wanqing, and the sky-splitting falcon. Di Wantian, Di Wanqing, and the sky-splitting falcon immediately entered a state of paralysis. Immediately after, Di Wantian and Di Wanqing's bodies were lifted up by something that looked like vines. A large number of vines pierced into Di Wantian and Di Wanqing's bodies. Even the sky-splitting falcon that Di Wanqing had just summoned couldn't escape the fate of being entangled by the vines. Every feather of the sky-splitting falcon was comparable to the hardness of monarch-grade spiritual ingredients. However, they were still pierced by these brown vines. However, Lin Yuan felt that these things that were entangling Di Wanqing, Di Wantian, and the sky-splitting falcon were more like the roots of some kind of plant than vines. The pierced Di Wanqing and Di Wantian turned their heads with difficulty and looked at the figure shrouded in a black robe. They asked in disbelief, "Third sister, what are you doing?" Upon hearing Di Wantian and Di Wanqing's question, the black-robed figure sitting on the limestone throne stood up quietly. Then, she took off the black robe on her body. A purple-haired, red-eyed, beautiful woman was standing in the same place. This woman had a clear and delicate temperament. It was as though a gust of wind could blow this thin and weak woman down. This place was obviously a purgatory filled with killing intent, but the woman's demeanor was like a lady strolling in the garden in the afternoon. The woman looked up at Di Wantian and Di Wanqing, and a soft and weak voice came out of her mouth. "Didn't Big Brother and Second Brother want me to become a Class 5 Creation Master the most? Actually, I have already become a Class 5 Creation Master. I just didn't tell you." Upon hearing the woman's words, Di Wanqing and Di Wantian seemed to have forgotten the pain of being pierced by the vines. They wanted to ask, but due to the momentary shock, they lost their voices. Upon seeing Di Wanqing and Di Wantian's expressions of disbelief, the woman shook her apricot-colored dress. She spoke in an exceptionally lazy tone. "I originally didn't want to kill Big Brother and Second Brother. I just wanted to leave Radiance after becoming a Class 5 Creation Master and find the second page of Revival. The second page of Revival promised to let me become a special Creation Master of the Tower Cannon. When the 8th page is damaged, I will be the one to replace it. Who would have thought that my sacred source lifeform, the rotten body ginseng, would obtain a new function when it became a Class 7 Creation Master? The rotten body ginseng's roots can be used as blood vessels to connect me with other lifeforms that have the same source of energy. They are the reserves of my spiritual power, vitality, and lifespan. Without the 2 Big Brothers' spiritual power, how can I refine over 10,000 Creation Masters in one go? If I don't refine over 10,000 Creation Masters, I won't be able to smoothly progress on my path to become a Class 5 Creation Master. Those who don't become Class 5 Creation Masters will never understand that becoming a Class 5 Creation Master is actually a threshold. Only when a Class 5 Creation Master is a Class 5 Creation Master would one be able to truly urge everything to evolve and evolve naturally. The 2 of you are wholeheartedly thinking about the glory of the whale ocean trade. Now, the 2 of you have become my batteries. Shouldn't the 2 of you be happier that my lifespan has doubled? As long as I, Di Wanmi, am alive, the glory of the whale ocean trade will always exist. The 2 Big Brothers can die in peace." After hearing Di Wanmi's words, Di Wantian and Di Wanqing were shocked and felt their hearts turn cold. They couldn't understand why their little sister, who had been pampered since she was young, would say such things. To do such a thing, Di Wanqing had always felt that he couldn't bear to make a move on Creation Masters. Di Wantian could bear to make a move on Creation Masters, but he had never thought of betraying Radiance. This was because Di Wantian had always treated himself as a member of Radiance. However, Di Wantian had placed the family's interests in an irreplaceable position. Even if it hurt Radiance, he wanted the family to prosper. But now, his little sister said that she wanted to leave Radiance and become a special Creation Master of the Tower Cannon. Chapter 1503. What kind of power was the Pagoda Cannon? Who was the second page of Renaissance? D.I. Wantian knew this very well. After a few interactions, D.I. Wantian and D.I. Wancheng realized that there was something wrong with the 8th page of the Pagoda Canon. However, he couldn't tell what was wrong. Furthermore, how could the 8 pages of the Pagoda Canon be so easily replaced? At this time, the roots of the rotting body meat ginseng had already pierced through the walls of D.I. Wantian and D.I. Wancheng's hearts. He was preparing to turn them into blood vessels and seize the blood cores of D.I. Wantian and D.I. Wancheng. D.I. Wantian and D.I. Wancheng turned into 2 living storage batteries. D.I. Wantian's eyes were bloodshot as he stared at D.I. Wani. These were D.I. Wantian's final words. Third sister, let these creation masters go. Once you become a Class 5 creation master and enter the Tower Cannon, the Resource Tower Cannon will arrange for you. At this moment, D.I. Wantian came to a realization. When the small family was broken and there were no benefits to speak of, D.I. Wancheng only wanted to protect this family that he had hurt and taken benefits from. He was already a sinner of Hui Yao. This was undeniable. From now on, he would have to bear an eternal infamy. However, D.I. Wantian still hoped that he could atone for Hui Yao's crimes before he died. He also wanted to help his blood-related relatives one last time, so that they wouldn't fall deeper and deeper into the abyss. Upon hearing D.I. Wantian's words, a disdainful smile appeared on D.I. Wanmi's doll-like face. The creation master's body is just the source of my strength increase. What's the difference between them and spiritual energy? I just want to improve my strength. I joined the Tower Cannon because the second page of Revival gave me a promise. From now on, Ta Jian will use the world's creation masters to support me and allow me to take another step forward. Let's go and see what kind of wonderful world is above Class 5 creation masters. Before D.I. Wanmi could finish his words, D.I. Wantian lost consciousness after D.I. Wancheng. It had become D.I. Wanmi's battery. When D.I. Wanmi had attacked D.I. Wantian and D.I. Wancheng, Lin Yuan had secretly used Morbius True Data. He examined the roots of D.I. Wanmi's rotting body ginseng. Sacred source name, rotten flesh ginseng, sacred source species, origin family sacred source species, sacred source star grade, 7-star, sacred source type, wood function Satsmiley ginseng root wisdom. The extended ginseng root entangles into the target's body. After the target's spirit and soul are destroyed, the ginseng root can extract the target's knowledge and experience through the physical body and give the ginseng root the knowledge and experience. Withered ginseng abundant rain, when one's life force is about to be extinguished, one can nourish one's own life force by absorbing the life force of other creatures in the surroundings. Excessive life force can nourish one's mind and soul, allowing one's mind and soul to be at their peak. Flesh and blood battery. By fusing the ginseng roots into the blood vessels of the target that have the same energy as the ginseng root, the target will be able to recharge and store their own energy, lifespan, and vitality. At the same time, the modified flesh and blood battery will be able to withstand lethal attacks. After investigating, Lin Yuan understood the rotting flesh ginseng's secret. He also understood how D.I. Wanmi used a creation master's body to construct a divergent path to become a Class 5 creation master. The rotten body ginseng's ability allowed D.I. Wanmi to pass through a creation master's body. Obtain the accumulated knowledge and experience from the creation master's spirit and soul. This knowledge and experience was the proof that D.I. Wanmi was confident in becoming a Class 5 creation master. A main road can be divided into countless forks, and if these forks are all gone, it will be very difficult. If he walked through all of them, he would be able to open up another path. As for the rotten body ginseng's second ability, withered ginseng abundant rain, it allowed D.I. Wanmi to be nearly immortal when there were living creatures around him. This was because D.I. Wanmi could rapidly absorb the life force of other living creatures in the surroundings to nourish himself. At the same time, it could allow D.I. Wanmi's spirit and soul to reach their peak state under the nourishment of life force. The withered ginseng abundant rain allowed D.I. Wanmi to become a perpetual motion machine that could fight forever. There was no need to worry that his consumption could not keep up with his replenishment. With D.I. Wantian and D.I. Wancheng as the flesh and blood battery, D.I. Wanmi had 3 bodies. His energy, lifespan, and vitality were all doubled. The rotting body ginseng was simply too powerful. It might not possess powerful offensive capabilities, but it could pave a smooth path for the contractor to become a creation master. It could also allow the contractor to not be limited by lifespan. The rotten body ginseng might not possess powerful killing power. However, Lin Yuan had never seen any other sacred source lifeforms possess such an ability and effect to benefit himself. Just now, when Di Wanmi was controlling Di Wantian and Di Wanqing, he had erupted with an aura that far surpassed Di Wantian's. The little black insect that had been summoned to paralyze Di Wantian, Di Wanqing, and the sky-splitting falcon had an aura that was comparable to Bai Yang's. Apparently, he had reached the peak of immortal realm. Fortunately, in order to hide it from Di Wantian and Di Wanqing, Di Wanmi did not obtain enough resources to improve himself. Otherwise, a Class 5 Creation Master would be able to raise his phase strength to the Eternal Realm. Di Wani looked at the Creation Masters below him and said, "Let's go. Now, you will become my bait. Remember, this will be the most glorious moment of your lives. Because in the future, all of you will become part of a Class 6 Creation Master." Di Wanmi's words caused a commotion in the crowd. Right at this moment, a clear and pleasant voice resounded. "I always thought that you were Hui Yaro's sinner. I didn't expect that I was narrow-minded. You are the sinner of the entire human race." The young man's clear and pleasant voice caused the current chaos to pause. All the creation masters present and Di Wanmi's eyes landed on the place where the voice came from. Crane Concubine stared at the young man beside her with her mouth agape. She did not know how good this young man's mental fortitude was. He could actually say such words at a time like this. Di Wanmi's red eyes landed on Lin Yuan as he snorted. "You have a sharp tongue. I'll start with you." Just as Di Wanmi was about to make a move, Lin Yuan did not choose to summon Bai Yang. He would then use Blue's faith possession and use the power of faith to enhance Bai Yang. This was because Lin Yuan would not be able to handle this matter. In such a narrow space, the aftermath of the collision between two immortal experts would kill everyone below the arch rank. Lin Yuan decisively crushed the night jade that Night-Leaning Moon had given him. In an instant, the night spread, and the underground space that was dazzled by the strange fire lamp seemed to have fallen into a silent long night. The night was like a forge, suffused with a trace of coldness. The night was like the strongest barrier, blocking in front of Lin Yuan, who was standing at the forefront of the crowd. All the creation masters were stopped behind this black-tempered curtain of night. It was a woman in a black dress with a black veil covering her face. Like an eternal night goddess, she stepped through the night and quietly stood at the forefront of the crowd. Chapter 1504. The Night Empress waved her hand and released an even denser night. The night intertwined to form a layer of crystal wall, reinforcing the space behind her. Then, the Night Empress pointed her finger toward the sky. A touch of dark power came out of the Night Empress' fingertip. This dark power seemed to annihilate time and space. It made the entire world tremble under the Night Empress' finger. The wall, which was made of monarch-grade metal, sky-shattering purple gold, was like scrap metal. Under the Night Empress' finger, a big hole was opened. The noon light was warm and shone into the underground space that was nearly 800 meters deep. It made the panicking creation masters feel a trace of warmth. Originally, all the creation masters, including Crane Concubine, thought that they were going to die today and become Di Wanmi's nourishment. They didn't expect that a young man would actually summon one of the Night Empress of Hui Yaro through some kind of method. All the creation masters' faces revealed the joy of surviving a disaster and the excitement of seeing the Night Empress. Especially Crane Concubine. Crane Concubine, who was almost old, saw Night-Leaning Moon's thin body supporting the night barrier. He felt a different kind of emotion surging in his heart. The death of Hui Yaro could finally be avoided. Crane Concubine turned to look at Lin Yuan. At that moment, Crane Concubine understood why Lin Yuan was the leader on the floating light feather crane's back. He encouraged everyone to hand over their cell phones. This was because Lin Yuan didn't want to cause conflict because of the cell phone and cause unnecessary casualties for the creation masters. Crane Concubine also understood why Lin Yuan was in a hurry to lead everyone to the underground space when talking to Di Zhanhong. This was because only when they were on the ground and understood the situation, only this young man could summon the Night Empress. Although it was the Night Empress who saved them, Crane Concubine knew that this young man was Hui Yaro's hero. Not everyone dared to personally take risks and investigate the situation in their prime. What kind of radiant spirit did this young man have? The Night Empress was Hui Yaro's pillar, and the Night Empress' presence made everyone feel at ease for no reason. It also made Di Wanmi, who wanted to attack Lin Yuan, hold his breath. Di Wanmi had always been cautious. Otherwise, he wouldn't have not told Di Wantian and Di Wanqing that he had become a Class 5 creation master. Di Wanmi, who had imagined countless possibilities, never thought that he would one day face the Night Empress. If he fought, he would definitely not be able to defeat the Night Empress. Not long ago, the Night Empress had used a 10-star sacred source lifeform to summon a phenomenon that Di Wanmi could not compare to. After becoming a Class 5 creation master, everything had to be slowly accumulated. If Di Wanmi was given 10 or 20 years to face the Night Empress, Di Wanmi would not be able to do so. Even if Di Wanmi still couldn't win, he wouldn't be in such a sorry state. In front of the Night Empress, Di Wanmi could not muster up any courage to make a move. However, Di Wanmi still had something to rely on, and it was the fact that he was a Class 5 creation master. Di Wanmi was confident that he could reveal his Class 5 creation master identity to the Night Empress. The Night Empress would never kill him. Lin Yuan came to Night Leaning Moon's side and explained to her what had happened in the underground palace. The more the Night Empress listened, the gloomier her face became. Listening to the end, the face of the Night Empress, who usually did not show her emotions, actually showed a clear and fierce expression. Even the Night Empress did not dare to estimate if Lin Yuan had not discovered the conspiracy of the whale ocean trade. How great of a loss would it have brought to Hui Yaro? The whale ocean trade was digging up Hui Yaro's roots. Night Leaning Moon, who was in a rage, raised her hand. Dense power of night formed a giant palm in front of Night Leaning Moon. She did not give Di Wanmi any time to speak. This palm formed from the power of night slapped Di Wanmi's face without the slightest bit of mercy. Di Wanmi's sacred source lifeform, the rotten body meat ginseng, was almost smashed into pulp. Even Di Wantian and Di Wanmi, who were supposed to be Di Wanmi's batteries, were turned into dust by this palm. Fortunately, Di Wanmi had activated the rotten body meat ginseng's flesh battery function and used his two brothers' bodies as a substitute for his death. Otherwise, Di Wanmi, who had just reached the peak of immortal realm, would not have been able to withstand the Night Empress' furious palm. Once the rotten body meat ginseng was injured, it would automatically absorb the vitality of the surrounding living beings. However, the Night Empress' power of night had firmly sealed everything around Di Wanmi. The rotten body meat ginseng's roots could not pierce through the night barrier and could not use other living beings' vitality to recover. Di Wanmi, who stood up in a sorry state, spat out a mouthful of blood. Di Wanmi, who was looking down on everything and talking about his ambitions, looked at the Night Empress in panic. I am a Class 5 creation master. I am already a Class 5 creation master. I can use the bodies of sacred source lifeforms to create relics and world crystals to create world crystals. With me around, the Radiance Association will have 4 Class 5 creation masters. In terms of the number of Class 5 creation masters, we have surpassed the Freedom Federation. The Night Empress attack just now made Di Wanmi feel the shadow of death. Di Wanmi was a little puzzled. The young man who summoned the Night Empress was explaining the situation to her. I already told the Night Empress that I am a Class 5 creation master. Did the Night Empress not hear it clearly? If the Night Empress heard that I am a Class 5 creation master, why would she still make a move on me? Hearing Di Wanmi's words, Night Empress looked at Di Wanmi as if she was looking at a maggot. Night Empress said coldly, Radiance's Class 5 creation masters, be it the Moon Empress, Bamboo Monarch, or Chef Supreme. The reason why they are revered isn't because they are Class 5 creation masters. It is because they use their abilities as Class 5 creation masters to contribute to the Radiance Association. This contribution can be protection or advancement. They might not be able to benefit every spirit chi professional in the Radiance Association, but they are using their own abilities to bring stability to the Radiance Association. Who do you think you are? Even if you really become a Class 6 Creation Master, you are not fit to be mentioned in the same breath as them. How I wish I could discover the whale ocean trades conspiracy earlier. If that was the case, who knows how many more Creation Masters the Radiance Association would have. You killed Creation Masters for your own selfish desires. What right do you have to bear the lives of those Creation Masters? Hearing the Night Empress words, Di Wanmi's eyes became even more astonished. Di Wanmi's heart was filled with 10,000 questions about the Night Empress words. I am a Class 5 Creation Master. I am a Class 5 Creation Master. Isn't this enough to explain everything? Those Creation Masters that I have absorbed are all dead. What value do dead people have? Could the Radiance Association be willing to give up on me, a Class 5 Creation Master? This was a possibility that Di Wanmi had never imagined. However, even if the Night Empress wanted to kill him, Di Wanmi did not believe that the other eminences of the Radiance Association would do so. Di Wanmi picked up his broken sacred source lifeform, the rotten body ginseng, from the ground and said to Night Leaning Moon, I request to enter the sin cleansing pond. I request to enter the sin cleansing pond. My life and death will be decided by the 13 eminences of the Radiance Association. Chapter 1505. When the Night Empress heard this, the palm formed by the power of night once again slapped the other half of Di Wanmi's face. This time, Di Wanmi, who didn't have a flesh battery to defend himself, was beaten into a corner. After coughing for a long time, he still couldn't stand up. Night Leaning Moon looked at Di Wanmi and said with a tone of disdain, You hate others, but you treat yourself quite well. In order to withstand my attack, you even used your peak immortal Fey, Dark Thunder spiked armor, as a shield. You know that you have to work hard to survive, but don't you know that those Creation Masters that you have absorbed also want to survive? If you want to join the Pagoda Canon and be 8th Page's substitute, how do you still have the face to say that you are from the Radiance Federation? The Sin Cleansing Pond accommodates the sinners of Hui Yarrow. What right do you have to enter the Sin Cleansing Pond? The killing intent in the Night Empress words was firm. The killing intent in his words grew thicker. Di Wanmi struggled and finally stood up again. However, Di Wanmi, who had yet to summon his Fey, was slapped twice by the Night Empress. He no longer had the courage to summon his Fey. Di Wanmi tried to struggle one last time. As long as Hui Yarrow can provide an endless supply of Creation Masters, I will definitely be able to become a Class 6. I'm willing to be Hui Yarrow's puppet and work for him for life. The Hui Yarrow is so powerful. It shouldn't be difficult for it to capture some Creation Masters from the other federations. I can issue an oath. The Night Empress raised her hand, pointed at the tens of thousands of Creation Masters behind her, and questioned Di Wanmi. Isn't the life of a Radiance Creation Master a life? Creation Masters build the civilization of spirit chi professionals and are the cornerstone of the spirit energy era. When the Federation is in a war, as long as it isn't a life and death situation, they won't easily touch the opposing Creation Masters. If you want to live, will the Creation Masters behind me agree? You have to give an explanation for the Sea Sky lineage's Creation Master's life. You have to account for the four-legged beast region's Creation Master's life. You have to account for the lives of those Creation Masters who didn't join any faction. Therefore, you must die. You deserve to die 10,000 times over. Night Leaning Moon gave Di Wanmi an ultimatum. These words contained Night Leaning Moon's most proper character as the Radiant Highness. Otherwise, Night Leaning Moon could have easily agreed to Di Wanmi's request and forced Di Wanmi to swear loyalty to her. This way, Night Leaning Moon would have another Class 5 Creation Master as a servant. However, Night Leaning Moon's actions weren't just driven by profit. More importantly, it was his responsibility as Lord Hui Yarrow. This responsibility had been on Night Leaning Moon's shoulders since the day she became a Radiance Envoy. The Night Empress was not in a hurry to execute Di Wanmi. Instead, she asked Lin Yuan, who was beside her. Little Yuan, How do you think we should deal with Di. Night Leaning Moon wasn't asking him this to test him. The Moon Empress was in seclusion, and Lin Yuan was representing her by standing here. Lin Yuan was the first person to discover this conspiracy. Before coming here, he had already told Mystic Moon that he would cooperate with Lin Yuan. Therefore, it was up to Lin Yuan to make the decision. When Lin Yuan heard the Night Empress ask him how he should deal with Di, he pondered for a moment before replying. I discovered that there was a problem with the whale ocean trade because I happened to meet the Sea Sky lineage's young family head, Jifeng, when I was posting the trade on Star Web. Through Jifeng, I found out about the undercurrent in the whale ocean trade. This matter wasn't reported to the Hidden Moon Pavilion, so I paid more attention to the whale ocean trade. I came to investigate this time because the number of creation masters gathered by the whale ocean trade is simply too many. I can't afford to gamble. Even if there is only a 10% chance that my guess is correct, I have to come and take a look. The first victim of the Myriad Flags lineage's conspiracy is the Sea Sky lineage. I propose to call Jifeng over and let him put an end to everything. Upon hearing that, Night Leaning Moon nodded. Little Yuan, since you have a plan, go ahead and make the arrangements. Night Leaning Moon didn't immediately send these tens of thousands of creation masters away. Di death would be considered an explanation for these creation masters. Soon, after receiving Lin Yuan's notice, Jifeng arrived at the Whale Ocean Trade's old residence that he hadn't seen for a long time. Ever since Jifeng had followed Lin Yuan, he had been thinking about how to repay Lin Yuan. He was only thinking about how to avenge his family. Jifeng had originally thought of following Lin Yuan for 3 years to repay him for saving his life. Then, he would head to the Whale Ocean to take revenge. However, Lin Yuan had helped him time and time again, making Jifeng feel that no matter how long he stayed by Lin Yuan's side and how hard he worked, Lin Yuan would always help him. It would not be enough to repay Lin Yuan's kindness. Due to Lin Yuan's kindness, Jifeng gave up the intention of seeking revenge on the Whale Ocean Trade's Myriad Flags within 30 years. He had not even said anything, and Lin Yuan had already helped him with the matter of revenge. Moreover, at the end of this matter, Lin Yuan had even allowed him to unleash the final sword strike to end the hatred. Just based on this, Jifeng felt that following Lin Yuan was a blessing. Such a Lin Yuan was worth following for eternity. Jifeng walked up to Di, who was bound by the power of night, and summoned the Karma Sword Orchid. He used this Karma Sword Orchid, which his father had nurtured for him, to stab into Di's heart and crush his vitality. The matter was over. The Night Empress did not give these tens of thousands of creation masters a chance to thank her for saving their lives. With a wave of her hand, she used the power of Night's barrier to move these tens of thousands of creation masters to the entrance of the Whale Ocean Trade's old mansion. Looking at the Whale Ocean Trade's imposing old mansion, Crane Concubine felt as though she was in a dream. Only an hour had passed, but she had experienced a life-and-death situation. She had also seen Her Majesty's boldness and the youth's bravery. Night Leaning Moon glanced at Jifeng, who was standing beside Lin Yuan, and gently nodded at him. Lin Yuan knew that Night Leaning Moon had something to say to him, so he said to Jifeng, "Jifeng, return to the faraway mansion first. The Myriad Flags lineage and the Myriad Origins lineage have become estranged over the years, but the Myriad Flags lineage has never attacked the Myriad Origins lineage. There are also creation masters in the Myriad Origins lineage. Chief Guard Knight will thoroughly investigate all of this. We just have to wait for the news. After thoroughly investigating the Myriad Origins lineage, you, as the young family head of the Sea Sky lineage, should come back to inherit the family business." Upon hearing that, Jifeng hurriedly said, "Young master, I'll just stay by your side. Young master, I'll just stay by your side." Before Lin Yuan could speak, Night Leaning Moon looked at Jifeng as though she was looking at a fool. If there is really something wrong with the Myriad Origins lineage, their outcome will not be any different from the Myriad Flags lineage. If you really want to help your young master in the future, come back and inherit everything in the Whale Ocean Trade. Cleaning up the mess of the trade on the Whale Ocean and stabilizing the situation is what you should do. Chapter 1506. When Jifeng heard this, he was startled, and an ashamed expression appeared on his face. He then said firmly to Lin Yuan, "Don't worry. Young master, even if there are no issues with the Myriad Origins bloodline, I will still go all out to control the island whales in the whale ocean trade." After Ji Feng left, Night Leaning Moon sighed and said to Lin Yuan, "Don't worry. The other 12 eminences, including your master, the Moon Empress, all of us hope that the Radiance Association can produce another Class 5 Creation Master. The appearance of a Class 5 Creation Master can increase Hui Yarrow's overall strength by at least 10%. But because of the selfishness of the Whale Ocean Trade's Myriad Flags lineage, they killed all the Creation Masters of the Sea Sky lineage. Otherwise, there might be a Class 5 Creation Master seedling among the Sea Sky lineage's Creation Masters. All these years, all of us thought that the Sea Sky lineage's Creation Master was in seclusion. We didn't expect that all of this was a conspiracy of the Whale Ocean Trade. Little Yuan, it's all thanks to you." Lin Yuan quietly listened to Night Leaning Moon speak. He knew that she was lamenting. For Night Leaning Moon to kill a Class 5 Creation Master like Di Wanmi, she must have made up her mind. Night Leaning Moon clearly treated him as a junior and did not treat him as an outsider. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said such selfish words to Ji Feng with his status as Her Majesty. In the face of such a Night Leaning Moon, Lin Yuan felt that he no longer needed to hide some things. After pondering for a moment, Lin Yuan spoke to Night Leaning Moon in a serious tone. "Actually, I have a way to let Radiance have another Class 5 Creation Master." Night Leaning Moon was grieving over the large number of Creation Masters that had perished because of the selfish desires of the Whale Ocean Trade. As a result, Lin Yuan suddenly said that he could let Radiance have another Class 5 Creation Master. Night Leaning Moon couldn't help but be startled. Night Leaning Moon stared at Lin Yuan and spoke in a very solemn tone. "Little Yuan, you can't speak carelessly about such things. Class 5 Creation Masters were of great importance and concerned the Federation's future. Those federations that had Class 5 Creation Masters would be able to crush those that didn't have Class 5 Creation Masters in terms of overall strength. The transformation that a Class 5 Creation Master could cause was something that ordinary people couldn't imagine." As the Moon Empress disciple, Lin Yuan was about to walk the path of a Radiance envoy. Therefore, every word that Lin Yuan said was as heavy as 500 kilograms, and there could not be any falsehoods. No matter how talented Lin Yuan was, Night Leaning Moon didn't dare to believe that he had a way to create another Class 5 Creation Master for the Radiance Federation. If Class 5 Creation Masters were so easy to obtain, the Whale Ocean Trade would not have made a fuss about the Radiance Dao Sect's Creation Masters. In Lin Yuan's opinion, it was only natural that Night Leaning Moon did not believe him. Lin Yuan also knew that what he said was simply too unbelievable. For a moment, he didn't know how to explain it to Night Leaning Moon. Lin Yuan waved his hand and summoned Red Thorn. He then asked Red Thorn to summon its original body. The Gold X Fantasy V Red Thorn's main body expanded by nearly 3 times. The sinister mouth of Relinquish spat out the tongue of Relinquish that was covered in spikes. The blinking eye of Relinquish emitted a strange radiance. The furnace-like mouth of Relinquish rumbled as it digested large amounts of metals. The digestion of large amounts of metals caused the surface of the mouth of Relinquish to have a faint metallic luster. During this period of time, the mouth of Relinquish had devoured the metals. The mouth of Relinquish's toughness could already easily withstand the all-out attack of a same-grade fantasy breed Fae. Red Thorn just swung its green vine-like long hair and sat on Lin Yuan's neck. Its smiling face pressed against Lin Yuan's chin and gently rubbed against it. The Red Thorn that Lin Yuan summoned shocked the experienced and knowledgeable Night Leaning Moon twice in a row. It was a gold fantasy breed 6-winged demon with a bloodline at the pinnacle of 6-winged. This was something that Night Leaning Moon had never seen in her entire life. The spirit guards supervised all Faes in the world, and even Class 5 Creation Masters wouldn't dare to say that they were more knowledgeable than Night Leaning Moon. After Night Leaning Moon took a few glances at Red Thorn, she looked at its main body. After some investigation, Night Leaning Moon's eyes locked onto the only long, dark purple tip of the tongue of Relinquish. Red Thorn had used 2 of its 3 tongues of Relinquish. It had used the tip of the tongue to control Liu Yangshan and Han Tianhe, whose bodies had been split into 2 by the Void Shadow Demon. Now, Redthorn's grade had risen to Gold X Fantasy V. It could use the Tongue of Relinquish's ability to control Di Wanmi, whose neck had been pierced by Jifeng's sword. The Tongue of Relinquish could awaken Di Wanmi's spirit and soul and retain his memories from when he was alive. Under Redthorn's control, Di Wanmi could still carry out the work of a Class 5 Creation Master. However, Di Wanmi, who was controlled and awakened by the Tongue of Relinquish, no longer had a chance to progress further. He could only forever maintain the standard of a Class 5 Creation Master. However, even if he was a Class 5 Creation Master, he was still a Class 5 Creation Master. Night Leaning Moon was a pinnacle Class 4 Creation Master and could easily see through Redthorn's Tongue of Relinquish's ability. Night Leaning Moon revealed an ecstatic expression. She didn't expect Lin Yuan to really rely on his own ability to let Radiance have a fourth Class 5 Creation Master. This was a huge matter. Di Wanmi had committed grave sins when he was alive, and it was considered a karmic cycle that Lin Yuan could use to benefit Radiance after his death. Little Yuan, use this six-winged demon of yours to control Di Wanmi. After controlling Di Wanmi will become a part of your strength. However, don't waste your abilities as a Creation Master just because you have a Class 5 Creation Master under you. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan raised his eyebrows. Of course, he wouldn't waste his abilities. If he wanted to increase his rank as a Spirit Chi professional, he still had to rely on his abilities. At the same time, Lin Yuan could tell from Night Leaning Moon's words that she was advising him to let him control Di Wanmi alone. Lin Yuan didn't reject it. First, Di Wanmi occupied Redthorn's Tongue of Relinquish. Everything about Di Wanmi was controlled by Redthorn, and he was considered a puppet that was equivalent to a part of Lin Yuan's combat power system. In addition, Sky City also needed a Class 5 Creation Master in the dark to hold down the fort. That way, the bodies of the sacred source lifeforms he had collected could be forged into treasures. Di Wanmi couldn't even withstand one move from Night Leaning Moon, but Di Wanmi's strength was at the pinnacle of the immortal realm. After controlling Di Wanmi, Lin Yuan had an additional Class 5 Creation Master under him. It was the same as having an additional pinnacle of the immortal realm fighter. Lin Yuan commanded Redthorn in front of Night Leaning Moon. Redthorn, use the Tongue of Relinquish to control Di Wanmi's body. Redthorn extended its hand and pointed in Di Wanmi's direction. The spores landed on the ground, and a path made of nibbling vines connected Di Wanmi and the mouth of Relinquish. Chapter 1507. The nibbling vines lifted Di Wanmi's body and sent him to the mouth of Relinquish that had a slender tongue. The tip of the Tongue of Relinquish pierced into Di Wanmi's body. Numerous nail scars immediately appeared on Di Wanmi's body. Immediately after, the originally dead Di Wanmi opened his eyes and stood respectfully behind Lin Yuan. Night Leaning Moon looked at Lin Yuan and could not help but sigh with emotion. This generation's growth was simply too fast. I really wonder how the Moon Empress nurtured Lin Yuan. With Lin Yuan's current excellence, he was fully qualified to be a Radiance Envoy. The Moon Empress was still in seclusion, and Night Leaning Moon was prepared to discuss today's matter with Mystic Moon. Then, when the Moon Empress came out of seclusion, he would inform her in detail. He would let the Moon Empress decide if she should release the news that Lin Yuan had saved tens of thousands of Creation Masters. He definitely had to let them go. It was just that the Moon Empress had to decide when to release it. Upon seeing Lin Yuan walk back in front of her, Night Leaning Moon gently patted Lin Yuan's shoulder and spoke. "Little Yuan, you did well." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan revealed a bright smile. He then said to Night Leaning Moon, "Aunt Yi, after the Spirit Guard is done searching the Whale Ocean's trade, I want to see if there's something I really need." He didn't tell Night Leaning Moon what he was looking for. He didn't say why he was looking for it. Although there were some things that he could tell Night Leaning Moon, there were some things that he had better keep to himself. That strange seed most likely came from the Pagoda Cannon. Night Leaning Moon already knew about the collusion between the Pagoda Cannon and the Whale Ocean Trading Company. How Hui Yarrow would treat the Pagoda Cannon was not something he should think about. It didn't take long for the Spirit Guards to gather all the goods from the Whale Ocean trade. Lin Yuan looked at the resources that the spirit guards had gathered and activated Morbius True Data to examine them with all his might. Soon, Lin Yuan found another strange seed among these resources. There was also a pot of half-opened plants cultivated from the seeds of a strange plant. The plant had huge leaves, and the flower bud in the middle gave off a rotten smell. It seemed to be a plant of the konjac family. However, under True Data, this konjac plant was not a plant species Fey at all. Instead, it was a plant-type dimensional creature called Gardener konjac. Furthermore, this half-bloomed plant was only a cluster of plants that the dimensional creature had split off. If it wasn't awakened by the dimensional creature, the branch would continue to sleep quietly. Lin Yuan asked Red Thorn, which was beside him. Red Thorn, can you eat this Gardener konjac in its cluster state like how you ate that seed? Before Lin Yuan asked, Red Thorn could no longer wait. Red Thorn looked at the ramets of the Gardener's konjac. It couldn't wait to swallow the Gardener konjac. He simply let Red Thorn devour the Gardener konjac's ramets and seeds. Soon, the ramets and seeds of the Gardener konjac were digested by Red Thorn's mouth of relinquish. This time, Red Thorn's rank didn't skyrocket like the previous time. It was still at gold rank level 10. However, this didn't mean that the energy in the Gardener konjac ramets and seeds disappeared into thin air. The energy in the Gardener konjac ramets was more than 3 times more than the energy in the Gardener konjac seeds. This time, Red Thorn devoured a Gardener konjac ramets and a seed. It was equivalent to absorbing 4 times the energy obtained last time. The reason its rank didn't increase this time was that this energy was imprisoned in Red Thorn's body. Only when this energy reached a certain level and reached a critical value would it be released to play a role. In other words, Red Thorn still needed to devour the Gardener konjac seeds or ramets. Although Red Thorn's rank didn't skyrocket, the tip of the tongue of relinquish still had an obvious change. Through communicating with Red Thorn, Lin Yuan learned that the regeneration speed of the tip of the tongue of relinquish had changed from 1 month to 3 days. It was 10 times shorter. In addition, the tip of the tongue of relinquish had forked and felt like a snake's tongue. It was as if the original tongue tip was about to split and become 2 tongues. From the looks of it, Red Thorn hadn't absorbed enough energy from the dimensional creature named Gardener konjac. Lin Yuan recalled that the Whale Ocean Trading Company had cooperated with the Beast Creation Garden and had given the Beast Creation Garden a seed. Miao Zhanshan had told Lin Yuan about this. Whether Red Thorn's tongue of relinquish could mutate successfully depended on the Beast Creation Garden's seed. After storing Red Thorn into the Spirit Lock spatial zone, Lin Yuan bade farewell to Night Leaning Moon. Lin Yuan's purpose of coming to the Whale Ocean Trading Company had been achieved. As long as Lin Yuan went to the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden to retrieve the seed, he could continuously receive information on the star web to exchange for items. He would let those Emperor-class experts phase undergo the world cleansing and extract the world grace. Fortunately, before the Radiance 100 sequence started, he would enhance Lin Yuan's own phase. He would strive to enhance all of Lin Yuan's phase to Diamond X. Only then could Lin Yuan ensure that on the battlefield of the Radiance 100 sequence, he had to guard against the Freedom Federation's conspiracy against the Radiance Federation. Lin Yuan first returned to the mansion and asked Wen Yu to remove the face mask on his face. Then, he summoned Blackie and rode it to the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden's old mansion. When he reached the old mansion, Lin Yuan did not talk nonsense with Miao Zhanshan and explained his purpose of visit. Miao Zhanshan still did not know what had happened with the Whale Ocean Trading Company. However, Miao Zhanshan had already decided to rely on Lin Yuan for the entire Miao family. Thus, even if Lin Yuan asked for the Whale Ocean Trading Company's seed, Miao Zhanshan still gave it to Lin Yuan. Recently, the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden had been thinking of restoring its former glory. The way to restore its former glory was nothing more than to make a name for itself and obtain massive resources. The Miao family's Beast Creation Garden had gone downhill because of the Blood Oath Extreme Duel. Miao Zhanshan planned to use the Blood Oath Extreme Duel to make the Miao family rise again. Recently, the veteran factions that the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden had applied for the Blood Oath Extreme Duel had all accepted it. This made Miao Zhanshan feel very strange. Why did these veteran factions dare to accept the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden's Blood Oath Extreme duel? It was said that rabbits would bite when cornered. It seemed like these veteran factions were all rabbits that bit people. Lin Yuan had previously emphasized not to let Miao Zhenshan use his identity as the Moon Empress disciple. However, Miao Zhenshan still reaped the benefits of Lin Yuan's identity as the Moon Empress disciple. During this period of time, no matter which top faction discussed cooperation, those top factions would maintain friendly relations with the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden because the Moon Empress disciple had spoken up for the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden. Chapter 1508. Furthermore, Miao Zhenshan had dared to do such a thing because he had the intention of secretly using Lin Yuan's identity as the Moon Empress disciple. Thus, Miao Zhenshan always felt terrified in front of Lin Yuan. When you had informed Lin Yuan of Miao Zhenshan's actions, he had already settled the whale ocean trade. It could be said that the Beast Creation Garden was no longer useful to him, since the Beast Creation Garden was courting death repeatedly by attacking 6 veteran forces at the same time. He wanted to use the lives of these 6 old forces to help the Miao family rise in the Beast Creation Garden. In his opinion, this behavior was essentially no different from the whale ocean trade. If there was a difference, it would be that the whale ocean trade was harming creation masters' lives. On the other hand, the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden had harmed the lives of veteran factions' spirit chi professionals. It was the behavior of vermin. Since the Miao family had crossed the line time and time again in the Beast Creation Garden, and they didn't know how to repent, the Miao family would not be able to change their ways. Why don't I use the Blood Oath Extreme duel to get rid of the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden? Lin Yuan looked at Miao Zhenshan and asked, "How many peak stage emperor-level experts do you have in the Beast Creation Garden?" Upon hearing Lin Yuan's question, Miao Zhenshan revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. Miao Zhenshan did his best to report all the remaining peak martial emperors of the Miao family. When reporting the pinnacle emperor-class experts to Lin Yuan, Miao Zhenshan had hidden a part of his selfishness. There were some emperor-level experts who had just reached the peak and were not yet stable enough. Miao Zhenshan also reported everything to Lin Yuan. If they were lucky enough to use the law crystals that Lin Yuan had given them to reach the imperial grade, the Miao family would have profited greatly. Apart from the 8 emperor-level powerhouses in the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden, there were not many of them. Miao Zhenshan reported that 10 peak martial emperors had arrived. Just like how he helped the Miao family's current peak emperor-level experts advance to the overlord level. After collecting these emperor-class experts' myth breed phase to become creation breeds, he would obtain the creation vein. Lin Yuan left the Miao family. Next, the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden, which had bad intentions, would contribute 18 law crystals to Lin Yuan because of his fierceness. Once the Blood Oath Extreme battle was over, the princess would be able to digest the world crystals to her heart's content for a good period of time. Similarly, he would also obtain a new sword skill every 7 days. It also increased the corresponding elemental resistance of the world of laws. After returning to the return from faraway manor, Lin Yuan was preparing to return to his room. Red Thorn was strengthened through the gardener konjac seed he got from the Miao family. He wanted to see if Red Thorn could activate the energy in the ramets and seeds that it had devoured before after digesting the seed. Red Thorn's rank had only broken through to gold rank level 10 after the huge whalefall feast. Lin Yuan did not have any good ideas for Red Thorn's grade advancement. It could be said that Lin Yuan had always prepared the best bait for Red Thorn. Now, Red Thorn had been consuming the flesh of platinum and diamond dimensional lifeforms, as well as bronze and silver grade spirit materials like ferromanganese and tough copper. However, even though Lin Yuan had an abundant supply of these bait, Red Thorn's grade did not rise. This gave Lin Yuan a headache. This time, if he could attract the energy of the gardener's konjac seeds and ramets, Red Thorn would definitely be able to break through from Gold X Fantasy V to Platinum and become a Platinum Fantasy breed demon. Lin Yuan's goal for Red Thorn was to let it break the restriction of the 6-winged demon's bloodline when it became a myth breed. It would become a legendary 8-winged demon that had never appeared before. Although red thorn consumed a large amount of Class 4 and Class 5 dimensional lifeforms' flesh and metals, its grade advancement was not obvious. However, the absorption of these dimensional lifeforms' flesh made the digestive fluid in red thorn's mouth of relinquish contain a variety of characteristics such as strong acid, corrosion, burning, and so on. In particular, red thorn's absorption of the water world dimensional lifeforms' flesh had allowed red thorn to breathe underwater. It also had the ability to paralyze the opponent through the secretion of juice. All of these were subtly enhancing red thorn's strength. The absorption of ferromanganese and tough copper made the nibbling vines stronger and more flexible at the same time. Now, red thorn only needed to produce 10 nibbling vines to trap phase of the same level as red thorn. This crushing of same-grade lifeforms was partly because Lin Yuan was willing to invest in red thorn. It was also related to red thorn's pinnacle six-winged bloodline. Just as Lin Yuan was about to return to his room, he saw Liu Jie walking down the Golden Bell spiral staircase. Liu Jie had just finished a call with Night Leaning Moon. From Night Leaning Moon, Liu Jie found out that Lin Yuan had done a great thing in the morning. Liu Jie did not blame Lin Yuan for not telling him about this matter. Liu Jie blamed himself for not being able to help Lin Yuan with his current strength. Ever since the insect queen mutated and controlled the first insect-type carcinoma Fae, Liu Jie realized that his combat system had started to walk on a strange path. Due to the insect queen's special characteristics, Liu Jie could only contract one. Those insect-type carcinoma Faes were all contracted by the insect queen. This allowed Liu Jie to indirectly control those insect-type carcinoma Faes through the insect queen. Due to the bloodline restriction, the insect-type carcinoma phase could not become fantasy breed phase. Diamond X Legend was already the limit for insect-type carcinoma phase. Liu Jie could use these Diamond X Legend insect-type carcinoma phase to trigger a natural disaster to destroy the continent. It was very easy for Liu Jie, and he could do it without any effort. However, by relying on these insect-type carcinoma phase, Liu Jie would not be able to bear the responsibility of a retainer. The insect-type carcinoma phase abilities were focused on destruction and not defense. Therefore, it was difficult for Liu Jie to be a shield in front of Lin Yuan and a sword in his hand. However, Liu Jie had no other choice and could only continue on this path. Originally, Liu Jie planned to contract a few insect-type carcinoma phase after the Radiance 100 sequence ended. However, Lin Yuan's matter had stimulated Liu Jie. Liu Jie decided to contract those 3 insect-type carcinoma phase before the Radiance 100 sequence ended. There might be risks, but with his sacred source lifeforms abilities, as long as he paid the price, he would be able to overcome this risk. Liu Jie said goodbye to Lin Yuan and thought to himself, since I can't be a shield to protect you or a sharp sword to cut through the thorns for you, then I can only use the method of destruction to become the strongest deterrent in your hand. At this moment, Liu Jie, who had made up his mind, did not expect that his choice would be written into the main world's history books. Lin Yuan returned to his room and entered the spirit lock spatial zone. He looked at Red Thorn, which was flying around him and looking at him with eager eyes. Lin Yuan tossed the Gardener konjac seeds to Red Thorn and said, "Red Thorn, whether you can break through this time or not will depend on yourself." Red Thorn happily caught the Gardener konjac seeds that Lin Yuan dug up and went to the mouth of Relinquish. Red Thorn happily caught the Gardener konjac seeds that Lin Yuan dug up and went to the mouth of Relinquish. It tossed the Gardener konjac seeds into the mouth of Relinquish. Chapter 1509. As the seeds of the Gardener konjac entered the mouth of Relinquish, the 3 mouths of Relinquish, which were like furnaces, began to rumble violently. A majestic energy was awakened from the mouth of Relinquish. This energy affected the mouth of Relinquish, causing it to expand continuously. The 3 mouths of Relinquish expanded to a size of nearly 10 meters. At that moment, Red Thorn's voice echoed in his mind. Red Thorn was requesting Lin Yuan to choose its evolution direction. Lin Yuan knew that Red Thorn was going to evolve. In terms of evolution options, Lin Yuan didn't hesitate to continue to choose to enhance Red Thorn's digestive ability. It could be said that Red Thorn had been reaping the benefits of its digestive ability ever since it grew up. When Red Thorn was digesting, It could absorb a portion of the digested object's energy to strengthen itself. Hence, improving red thorn's digestive ability was equivalent to improving red thorn's overall quality. After Lin Yuan made his choice, the 3 mouths of relinquish that had expanded to 10 meters continued to expand. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan hurriedly summoned Red Thorn back to his room from the spirit lock spatial zone. He then summoned the ethereal jellyfish and let it teleport through the node. He teleported himself and Red Thorn to the previously marked wilderness. The spirit lock spatial zone was only so big, and Lin Yuan had made use of it. The spirit lock spatial zone was filled with all sorts of phase. If he allowed Red Thorn's mouth of relinquish to continue expanding, it might affect the safety of the other phase in the spirit lock spatial zone. Now, in the wilderness, Red Thorn was expanding without restraint. Eventually, the 3 mouths of relinquish expanded to a diameter of about 15 meters. The increase in the size of the mouth of relinquish was also a manifestation of an enhanced digestive ability. Like 2 stomachs, a small stomach, a big stomach. If the digestive efficiency of a large stomach and a small stomach were the same, the larger stomach would always be able to digest more food than the smaller stomach. The evolving Red Thorn spawned a few rabbits on the ground near him. It took root in the ground and absorbed a large amount of nutrients from the soil, causing a large area of land to become desertified. The rhizome shattered the sandy soil, and Red Thorn's 3 mouths of relinquish actually burrowed into the soil bit by bit. Upon seeing this scene, Lin Yuan could not help but be slightly stunned. After that, he knew that this was a habit that Red Thorn had developed at the bottom of the sea. When he had been at the bottom of the sea, he had realized that Red Thorn liked to drill into the sand. Now that Red Thorn was evolving, these were all unconscious actions. He could only wait for Red Thorn to complete its evolution before letting the mouth of relinquish emerge from the ground. After more than half an hour, Lin Yuan saw a huge flower bud with a diameter of nearly 10 meters burrowing out of the ground. Then, the flower bud bloomed and turned into a huge red flower with a crown of nearly 50 meters. The petals of the flower were like gauze, dancing in the air with the breeze. This dark red color was like a flame dancing in the wind. Immediately after, the ground trembled, and 3 mouths of relinquish emerged from the ground. It turned out that above the 3 mouths of relinquish, a flower neck had grown out from the central region, and this huge red flower had bloomed. At that moment, Lin Yuan saw the petals in the flower opening layer by layer. Red Thorn's figure appeared in the heart of the flowers. The barefooted Red Thorn sat on the center of the flower, as though it was a queen on a throne, inspecting everything. Red Thorn did not inform the acid corrosion queen bee about its evolution. This caused the acid corrosion queen bee to almost lose her life in the mouth of relinquish. However, the acid corrosion queen bee didn't mind at all. After all, what right did simps have to care? Now that the house was several times bigger than before, and the acid was more abundant, the acid corrosion queen bee couldn't be happier. Lin Yuan keenly noticed that the front of the mouth of relinquish's tongue of relinquish had completely forked. The tip of the tongue of relinquish that was originally consumed protruded out a purple tongue tip. Red Thorn had already pounced into Lin Yuan's embrace. Lin Yuan asked, "Red Thorn, your relinquish's tongue seems to have split. Can your relinquish's tongue control 3 more targets?" Red Thorn nodded its head and replied, "Lin Yuan, I can still control 3 more bad guys." To Red Thorn, Han Tianhe, Liu Yangshan, and Di Wanmi were all its enemies. Therefore, in Red Thorn's mouth, these people were naturally the bad guys. At that moment, Lin Yuan had already used Morbius True Data to investigate Red Thorn's grade. Fey name, Red Thorn, 6-winged demon, Thousand Eyes sacrificial offering, spirit species, vine subspecies fairy species, Fey grade, platinum, 3/10, Fey type, source wood, Fey quality, fantasy V abilities sad smiley mouth of relinquish, secretes vigorous digestive fluid. The digestive fluid is extremely corrosive and can rapidly digest the energy in food. The tongue of relinquish in the mouth can increase the digestion speed by several times and can secrete various acids that have consumed flesh and blood. At the same time, when the 3 mouths of relinquish tongues of relinquish pierce into the target's body, they can choose to cut off the tongue tip and leave the tongue tip in the target's body. When the target is alive, The tongue tip can control the target's spirit and soul. When the target is dead, the tongue tip can control and activate the target's spirit and soul, allowing the target to live. Carnivorous vine. Hollow vines that contain digestive fluid and sharp teeth inside the vines can consume flesh and blood energy by scraping. Eye of relinquish. Eyes formed by consuming flesh and blood energy. Each eye contains a large amount of flesh and blood energy. When the number of eyes of relinquish on each mouth of relinquish is maintained below 60, the eyes of relinquish can only store energy. When there are more than 60 eyes of relinquish, those that exceed 60 eyes of relinquish will not be stored on the mouth of relinquish and can turn into an energy ray at any time. Flower sea transition. Through rapid consumption of stored energy, the attack power and mobility of the child ramets in the sea of flowers will be multiplied. At the same time, the child ramet's weapons will be specialized, allowing the original functionality of the child ramet's weapons to increase. Demon spirit curse. When any child ramets split from the mother ramets touch the enemy target and break through the target's defense, it will curse the target. Each curse will have a random negative effect in the demon's body, and the curse caused by the attack can be stacked multiple times. Exclusive skill Sad Smiley Spore Proliferation. The spore cavity spits out a large number of spores. The spores can absorb the energy provided by red thorn or flesh and blood energy to rapidly proliferate and grow child ramets and ramets that are controlled by the mother ramets. With a glory, red thorn can quickly absorb the energy in the ground and inject it into the sea of flowers. As long as there are child ramets and child ramets in the ground, the withered sea of flowers will reach the most prosperous state. After checking, Lin Yuan found that red thorn had transformed from Gold X to Platinum 3. Chapter 1510. Red thorn had undergone a complete metamorphosis previously. The advanced skills and exclusive skills were the same as before, and there were no obvious changes. However, unlike Gold Red Thorn, Platinum Red Thorn had obtained a new ability, Demon Spirit Kill Curse. The Demon Spirit Kill Curse seemed to be very different from Red Thorn's other abilities. Red Thorn's other abilities were derived from its main body. According to the Demon Spirit Kill Curse's description, it was an ability derived from Red Thorn's demon bloodline. The Demon Spirit Kill Curse allowed Red Thorn's child ramets to touch the target and cause damage to the target. It would randomly select one of Red Thorn's negative effects and attach it to the target's body. Furthermore, this effect could be stacked many times. More importantly, these effects that were originally physical or elemental had all become curses. When facing physical and elemental attacks, some powerful life forms often had extremely strong resistance. However, the curse did not only target the physical body but also the mind, spirit, and soul. It was extremely difficult to crack. At the same time, the curse could also turn into misfortune under a large accumulation of effects. The misfortune in Zhong Zedi's body was caused by the multiple stacking effects of the curse. Red Thorn's platinum ability, Demon Spirit Kill Curse, turned Red Thorn's Sea of Flowers into a sea of cursed flowers. Targets that entered the Sea of Flowers would be plagued by misfortune because of the curse. Lin Yuan thought to himself. Right now, Red Thorn would probably be able to stop the Pinnacle Class 3 alien insect dimensional rift by itself. Lin Yuan suddenly felt that if he wanted Red Thorn to improve its strength, he might as well not purchase dimensional lifeforms' flesh. When Liu Jie returned, he would let the dimensional lamp moth open a dimensional rift. He would place Red Thorn under the dimensional rift and gorge itself. But soon, Lin Yuan became distressed. The whale ocean trade was destroyed, and he no longer had a way to obtain Gardener Konjac seeds or ramets. When he thought that the Gardener Konjac was a dimensional life form, Lin Yuan's mind stirred. After returning to the mansion with Red Thorn, Lin Yuan stored it in the spiritual spatial zone. Red Thorn's current size was simply too large and was no longer suitable to stay in the spirit lock spatial zone. Lin Yuan went to the swamp world through the Klein hub and called Bai Yang to ask about the Gardener Konjac. Gardener Konjac was a plant that loved water, and there were not many dimensional rifts that were suitable for it to grow. The temperature of the abyss world was extremely high, and non-fire type plants could not survive. They would soon be roasted dry. There was no light in the underground world all day long. Most of the plants that lived in the underground world had the ability to emit light. They relied on the light emitted by themselves and their companions to survive. The plants in the water world were all aquatic plants that could not live without water. If they left the water, they would soon rot and stink like the water world dimensional lifeforms. In comparison, the gardener konjac was only suitable to grow in the swamp dimensional rift and the alien insect dimensional rift. However, most of the plants in the alien insect dimensional rift were fungi that fed on the bodies of insects. These fungi can turn worms into worm stalks. Cordyceps were the special products of the alien insect dimensional rift and possessed extremely potent medicinal properties. No matter how he looked at it, he felt that the gardener konjac was not suitable to survive in the alien insect world. Therefore, among the 5 known dimensional rifts, the swamp world was the only suitable place for gardener konjac to survive. She thought that as a native of the swamp world, Bai Yang should have seen the gardener konjac before. In the end, Bai Yang was very sure that he had never heard of the gardener konjac. This made Lin Yuan feel a little strange. Could there be a 6th dimensional rift that had not been discovered by humans? Since Bai Yang did not know about it, Genius did not have any information about the gardener konjac. Lin Yuan did not bother about the gardener konjac anymore. In any case, he might encounter the gardener konjac again one day. The whale ocean trade's matter had been completely settled. It was time for Lin Yuan to increase his strength. In the real world, there were many spirit chi professionals who could not smoothly evolve their myth breed phase because they could not guarantee that they could pass the world cleansing. These people were Lin Yuan's trading partners. Lin Yuan would help their myth breed phase to successfully evolve their phase quality, but he would also take away the world grace that would descend after the phase passed the world cleansing. Just as Lin Yuan was contacting these people to come to the royal capital, Night Leaning Moon, who had just sent Liu Jie to contract the insect-type carcinoma Fei, was leaning over the table. She was dipping a pen in the golden juice and writing something seriously. Night Leaning Moon understood why Liu Jie was anxious to increase his strength at this juncture. At this moment, Liu Jie was really similar to her in the past. Night Leaning Moon had already communicated with Mystic Moon about the whale ocean trade situation. This was because Mystic Moon was upgrading the star web with the other 2 Her Eminences, and the Moon Empress was in seclusion. As a participant in the entire incident, Night Leaning Moon naturally wrote the report on the entire incident. When writing the report, Night Leaning Moon deliberated for a long time. In the end, she decided to conceal the news of Lin Yuan using the 6-winged demon to activate Di Wanmi's corpse and turn it into a creation master puppet. A Class 5 creation master puppet that could be controlled was undoubtedly more tempting than a living Class 5 creation master. The Radiance Federation and the Freedom Federation had signed a 2-year agreement. Although there was no official declaration of war, the 2 major federations had already entered an emergency state of war. In addition, the Pagoda Cannon's people had infiltrated the Radiance Federation and colluded with one of the 3 major factions, the Whale Ocean Trade, for so many years before being discovered. Therefore, not revealing some information was the best way to protect oneself. The Moon Empress, Chef Supreme, and Bamboo Monarch were 3 Class 5 creation masters, and they were all current experts that no one could control. However, a Class 5 creation master puppet could be indirectly controlled through Lin Yuan's control. The other fellows must have received the news and understood the Whale Ocean Trade's conspiracy. The Imperial Court Conference should be starting again. Recently, the Imperial Court Conference has been rather frequent. At the thought of this, Night Leaning Moon suddenly realized something. It seemed that the frequent Imperial Court conferences that had been held for the past half a year were all related to Lin Yuan. What kind of disciple did the Moon Empress accept? Lin Yuan made an appointment with those Emperor-class experts and asked those King-class experts to gather in the royal capital. He worked hard to enhance phase while collecting the Spirit Wisdom Purple Zorizir that had just matured in the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone. He then fed the Spirit Wisdom Purple Zorizir to Genius. Lin Yuan realized that after Genius ate the Spirit Wisdom Purple Zorizir, its spiritual energy had a significant increase. In less than 2 days, it had transformed from Fantasy I to Fantasy II. When Lin Yuan was nurturing the Spirit Wisdom Purple Zorizir, he had used its spores. This allowed Lin Yuan to harvest a large number of Spirit Wisdom Purple Zorizir in one go. Chapter 1512. Lin Yuan reckoned that after Genius finished eating this wave of Spirit Wisdom Purple Zorizir, its quality would at least reach Fantasy 4. As long as it nurtured another wave of Spirit Wisdom Purple Zorizir, Genius should be able to enter the Fantasy V door. Chimey had been living in the phoenix perching Chinese parasol tree's nest. It had never stopped absorbing the energy from the heavenly flames to temper its bloodline. A month ago, Lin Yuan had already started to let Chimey absorb high-grade heavenly flames. Now, Chimey's quality had evolved from Fantasy 3 to Fantasy 4. After transforming into the Fantasy 4, Chimey's appearance had undergone some slight changes. Presumably, when Genius and Chimey advanced to Fantasy V, their bloodlines would complete a complete evolution. Sun Ningxiang hadn't been idle during this period. While helping Lin Yuan promote the Warm Sun Fund, Sun Ningxiang helped Lin Yuan select a large batch of Spirit Qi professionals and ordinary people who were willing to enter seclusion. Lin Yuan transferred a large number of people selected by Sun Ningxiang into the swamp world. He handed them over to Liu Tong for him to make arrangements. When those creation masters who had made appointments with Lin Yuan arrived at the royal capital, Lin Yuan called the Mother of Bloodbath. They met up in the outskirts of the royal capital with these Emperor-class experts. Before coming, the Mother of Bloodbath and Lin Yuan had put on faceless paper. As a Myth 3 Heaven and Earth Fae, the Mother of Bloodbath's combat strength was comparable to a creation breed Fae. If the Mother of Bloodbath used its favored spirit bloodline to activate the power of the sun and control the power of the sun to fight, the Mother of Bloodbath could completely break through the limits of its realm and fight with Faes of the second or even the third lineage of creation. Therefore, even if the Mother of Bloodbath was only a suzerain Myth 3 Fae, it was more than enough to help these Emperor-class experts Faes survive the world cleansing. For the entire day, Lin Yuan and the Mother of Bloodbath stayed in the outskirts of the royal capital. The Mother of Bloodbath fought the world cleansing head-on, while Lin Yuan quietly opened the Pure Land of Bliss underground to absorb the world grace. The Pure Land of Bliss only absorbed 10% of the world cleansing. After absorbing 10%, it could no longer absorb anymore. Therefore, these myth breed Faes that had a breakthrough in quality did not suffer much loss. Throughout the day, the Pure Land of Bliss in the Spirit Lock spatial zone had been gushing out large amounts of Spirit Qi crystals. The Wind Speed Rapid Antelope in the Spirit Lock spatial zone was extremely busy. The Wind Speed Rapid Antelope carefully picked up the Spirit Qi crystals from the Pure Land of Bliss and piled them at a special spot. The hill of Spirit crystals was already taller than the Wind Speed Rapid Antelope. After returning to the returning manor, he returned to the Spirit Lock spatial zone. He was prepared to use these Spirit Qi crystals to enhance his phase. Lin Yuan placed the Jasmine Lily on the nurturing table in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Then, he summoned Zixiao from the swamp world and Little Black from the hidden dragon lake. He asked Little Black to camouflage until it was 1 meter long. He looked at Genius, Chimey, Jasmine Lily, Purple Firmament, Blackie, and the Soul Remembrance Whale. Lin Yuan shook his sleeve and released the Source Sand's main body. Lin Yuan said seriously, "Next, I will strengthen all of you and raise your levels to Diamond Rank Level 10. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Genius and Chimey were the first to respond. One jumped onto Lin Yuan's shoulder, while the other landed on Lin Yuan's ear and intimately rubbed its small face against Lin Yuan's ear. Immediately after, the Soul Remembrance Whale and Purple Firmament responded. Little Black and the Source Sand were the last to respond to Lin Yuan. As for the Jasmine Lily, Lin Yuan had to personally carry it over if he wanted to hold a meeting for his Faes. As a Platinum Fantasy breed plant Fae, Lin Yuan did not expect it to have high intelligence. However, when he saw the Soul Remembrance Whale happily circling around him, Lin Yuan felt a little awkward. He reached out to touch the Soul Remembrance Whale's head and said, "You haven't become a fantasy breed yet. You haven't become a fantasy breed yet, so you can only listen." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, the Soul Remembrance Whale did not have a trace of disappointment. It seemed that as long as it could stay by Lin Yuan's side, the Soul Remembrance Whale was already very happy. Of course, Lin Yuan did not just have these Faes. red thorn, silver splendor, zither, gold wing, blue sky, the floating island whale, grey, and the acid corrosion queen bee were considered Lin Yuan's fays. Lin Yuan had already raised the acid corrosion queen bee's grade to Diamond X legend. However, the acid corrosion queen bee had yet to obtain a willpower rune from the natural world. As for red thorn and silver splendor, if they wanted to increase their strength, one needed flesh energy, while the other needed soul energy. These were not things that spirit chi crystals could provide. The zither was Lin Yuan's wealth password. Every time the zither's grade increased, its quality would also increase. They all symbolized a golden lotus bricade's renewal. Therefore, unless it was necessary, Lin Yuan would not easily raise the grade of the zither. Gold wing was a desolation bloodline fey and needed dragon liver and phoenix blood. Blue sky and the floating island whale both needed pure water element energy. As for grey, it needed to absorb all kinds of auras to raise its grade and quality. Therefore, these little fellows' grade increase was not within the scope of the spirit chi crystal's ability. Therefore, Lin Yuan did not call them over. Lin Yuan first raised the grade of Little Black, the Jasmine Lily, and the Purple Firmament, which were spirit-locked phase. With the consumption of a massive amount of spirit chi crystals, Little Black, the Jasmine Lily, and the Purple Firmament's grades were all raised to Diamond X. However, the Purple Firmament and Little Black were Fantasy I, while the Jasmine Lily was Fantasy 3. If Little Black wanted to raise its grade, the best way was to absorb the essence blood of a pureblood flood dragon that had transformed into a main dragon species fey. Such things were extremely rare, but the Coiling Dragon Valley should have a reserve. Lin Yuan had heard Long Dao mention that the race's main dragon species fey would specially separate a drop of essence blood every 10 years. It was the Coiling Dragon Valley's resource reserve. The Coiling Dragon Valley had always been lacking in the number of Emperor-class experts and could not compare to the Beast Creation Garden. This was because it was indeed more difficult for dragon species feys to raise their grade than other feys. Lin Yuan could use the law crystals to exchange for the essence blood of a pureblood flood dragon that had transformed into a main dragon species fey, even without Long Dao. Long Dao was his good brother, so Lin Yuan did not mind helping the Coiling Dragon Valley to raise its top combat power. The Jasmine Lily had previously used the Sea Burial Crystal condensed by the Sea Burial Lotus Flower's main body to raise its grade. Now, the Sea Burial Lotus Flower had transformed into a fairy fey, Silver Splendor. The energy core had also turned from the Sea Burial Crystal into Silver Splendor. However, the Sea Burial Lotus Flower's main body, which Lin Yuan had planted beside the spirit pool, could still absorb spirit chi and condense the Sea Burial Crystal. Even if the Sea Burial Crystal was removed, it would not cause the slightest harm to Silver Splendor. Chapter 15:13. The Sea Burial Crystal condensed at the Sea Burial Lotus Flower's roots was much larger than what Lin Yuan had fed to the Jasmine Lily. Lin Yuan pulled off this Sea Burial Crystal and planted the Sea Burial Lotus Flower's main body next to the spirit pool. He let it continue to absorb spirit chi and condense the Sea Burial Crystal. Lin Yuan placed this Sea Burial Crystal on the Jasmine Lily's leaf and let it absorb it. With the consumption of the Sea Burial Crystal, the Jasmine Lily's quality had increased from Fantasy 3 to Fantasy V. Now, Lin Yuan finally had a Diamond X Fantasy V fey. Improving the Jasmine Lily's quality was originally a delightful thing. However, at the thought of the Purple Cloud's quality improvement, Lin Yuan could not help but have a headache. The Purple Cloud's body had the bloodlines of the Purple Cloud Beauty Butterfly and the Slaughter Sky Butterfly, two supreme butterfly species feys. If he wanted to improve the Purple Cloud's quality, he could collect some of the Blue Flash Butterfly's butterfly wings scale powder. He could let the Purple Cloud absorb these scale powder. However, this was not the best way to improve the Purple Cloud's quality, and it was not in line with Lin Yuan's goal of enhancing feys. If he wanted the Purple Cloud to improve its quality in the best way, he needed to find a fey called the Nirvana Butterfly. He had to collect the Nirvana Butterfly's butterfly wings butterfly powder for the Purple Cloud to absorb. However, Lin Yuan did not know where to find the Nirvana Butterfly. Previously, Lin Yuan had asked the Brahma insect cage if it still had one slaughter worm in reserve, and it had said that if he needed it, it could give him another slaughter worm. However, The Brahma insect cage could not take out a nirvana butterfly. The nirvana butterfly was actually not a general species Fae, but it had suddenly mutated. Any butterfly species Fae had a chance of transforming into the nirvana butterfly through a sudden mutation. However, the probability was too low. There were clear records of the nirvana butterfly, unlike the purple cloud beauty butterfly that only existed in legends. However, there were only 2 nirvana butterflies in history. These 2 nirvana butterflies had eventually turned into ashes in the endless mutation. They had failed to break the nirvana butterfly's fate and break through to some unknown butterfly phase bloodline. Since he could not find the nirvana butterfly, Lin Yuan did not want to force the purple cloud to improve its quality. In any case, Purple Heaven's current rank had been raised to Diamond X Fantasy I. In battle, it could play an effective role in control. The scale powder was enough to make those Faes that relied on elemental combat to become autistic. As they were spirit-locked Faes, Blackie, Jasmine Lily, and Purple Firmament didn't obtain any new abilities. Lin Yuan sighed in his heart. He had nurtured these little fellas so meticulously. If these little fellas had platinum or diamond skills, they would definitely be very powerful. As Morbius' grade increased, he wondered if he would be able to see the day when a spirit lock phase high-grade ability would appear. After enhancing the Jasmine Lily, Blackie, and Purple Heaven, he was prepared to enhance Genius and Chimey. Genius was currently at Diamond I Fantasy II. Chimey was now Platinum 3 Fantasy 3. As usual, a large number of spirit crystals were poured in, and Genius and Chimey were upgraded to Diamond level 10. He was different from Genius. Genius was already Diamond rank level 1. Thus, even though Lin Yuan had invested a huge amount of spirit chi crystals, Genius didn't obtain any new abilities. Chimey was previously at the Platinum level, but it was now at the Diamond level. After reaching the Diamond level, Chimey would obtain a new ability. Lin Yuan immediately used Morbius' ability, True Data, to investigate Chimey. Fey name, Clear Sound Luan, Fey species, Plume Finch Luan bird, Fey grade, Diamond, 10/10, Fey type, Sound light, Fey quality, Fantasy I abilities Sad Smiley Jade Shattering Sound, shoot out a huge sound note with the sound of jade shattering at a designated target. The sound of jade shattering has a certain interference effect. At the same time, after the huge sound note is attacked, it will shatter into 10 spiral-shaped sound thorns. Bathe light, bathe the body in clear sunlight. The sunlight can quickly recover the consumed vitality. Sunlight ray, emit all kinds of rays from the sun. The rays will cause negative weakening to the target. At the same time, the sunlight ray can increase the plant phase vitality when shining on it. Absolute nirvana light, retain only a trace of vitality in the body and seal it in the sun wheel of the wings. The rest of the vitality will be burned into sunlight energy. Before the sunlight energy in the vitality disappears, it will be immune to most physical and elemental damage. Clear zither sound, anchor an object that can release light-type energy. When controlling this object or being accepted by this object, one can project one's voice or sound-type ability onto this object and use this object as a base to spread in all directions. Exclusive skill Sad Smiley Clear Sky, after a clear bird's cry, the clouds will disperse, and the sun will be summoned. The sky will be clear, and the darkness will disperse. Radiant body, rapidly absorb the sun's power. A large amount of sun energy will gather in the body to form the radiant body. At a glance, Lin Yuan realized that Chimey's diamond ability was called Clear Zither Sound. This ability is quite interesting. Just anchoring an object that can release light-type energy is worth Lin Yuan's deep thought. There were many objects that could release light-type energy, such as a metal spiritual ingredient or an extraordinary flame that could emit light. Most light-type phase could release light-type energy. In the entire world, the one that released the most light-type energy was the eternal sun in the sky. Chimey's Clear Zither Sound could control the extraordinary flame and the metal spiritual ingredient that could emit light. It was the same as having a mobile microphone. Apart from being able to control this object, Chimey could also let this object accept itself. When it was accepted by this object, Chimey could also project its sound-type ability onto this object. It would then use this object as a base to spread out. Could Chimey use the anchored object as the sun? If Chimey could set the anchored object as the sun, when Chimey used clear zither sound, wouldn't the entire world be able to hear Chimey's voice? Wouldn't Chimey become a national idol that could transmit its voice to everyone's ears? A gold medal songstress that used the sun as a microphone. Of course, it wasn't a simple matter to anchor the sun. Even if Chimey could become immortal one day, it still wouldn't be able to rely on its own strength to control the sun. At the same time, through communicating with Chimey, Lin Yuan understood that when Chimey used clear zither sound, the area that its voice could spread to was also limited. However, the more powerful the anchored object, the more light-type energy it contained. Chimey's voice would also spread further. Chapter 15:14. In order to test the specific effect of clear harp voice transformation, he took out a piece of bronze floating light aluminum. He got Chimey to use its clear harp transformation skill to control the floating light aluminum. Soon, Chimey chose the floating light aluminum as its anchor target. In order to test Chimey's ability, he had deliberately left the spirit lock spatial zone. He was randomly teleported to the outskirts of the capital. He found that after controlling the floating light aluminum, it was like a loudspeaker when Chimey sang. Chimey's voice was continuously transmitted to the surroundings. The sound released by floating light aluminum wasn't much different from Chimey's. However, the floating light aluminum's sound conductivity was much further than Chimey's. From the original range of a few hundred meters to 3 kilometers. Lin Yuan continued to experiment and took out a ball of high-grade exceptional flame. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard Chimey's voice. Lin Yuan, compared to controlling this high-grade strange flame, it should be easier to make it acknowledge Chimey. With that said, Chimey flapped its wings and approached the high-grade twilight cold fire. Chimey used the light elements it released to communicate with the light elements released by the high-grade twilight cold fire. Soon, the twilight cold fire became Chimey's anchor. After getting the twilight cold fire to acknowledge Chimey, Lin Yuan understood. Anchoring an object would consume Chimey's light elemental energy. In order for an object to acknowledge Chimey, Chimey could consume the light energy contained in the object. After experimenting, Chimey obtained the recognition of the high-grade strange flame, twilight cold fire, and used it as a speaker. Chimey's voice could travel as far as 50 kilometers. From this, it could be seen that anchored objects had a strong correlation with transmission ability. When he thought of how Chimey could use this anchored object as a base, he realized that Chimey could release its sound type skills. Chimey's only sound type skill was the normal grade skill, shattering jade sound. Lin Yuan immediately ordered Chimey. Chimey, use this ball of twilight cold fire to launch a shattering jade sound to the furthest limit. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, it let out a soft cry. Finally, through Lin Yuan's observation, he found that at a position of 25 kilometers, there was a huge mountain range. Traces of being attacked by the sound of broken jade appeared. He then asked Chimey to use broken jade sound to the side and found that the depth of the traces was basically the same. This meant that the power of an attack released through an anchor was not any weaker than the power of a skill released by oneself. After Chimey executed the shattering jade sound, the twilight cold fire's flame was clearly weaker. This meant that Chimey's broken jade sound had consumed a portion of the twilight cold fire's light elemental energy. This discovery made Lin Yuan increasingly feel that Chimey should regard the anchored object as the sun. If it was another Fae, even if its light element talent was much stronger than Chimey, it would still be hard to obtain the sun's recognition. However, he had the Mother of Bloodbath by his side. The Mother of Bloodbath had the bloodline of the Polaris sun spider and was the favored child of the sun. It could directly communicate with the sun. With the Mother of Bloodbath's help, Chimey was very likely to obtain the sun's recognition and complete its anchoring. The light energy in the sun was endless. Using the sun as a base, the distance it could travel was not as simple as hundreds or thousands of miles. However, before advancing to a myth breed, Chimey wanted to obtain the sun's recognition through its harp transformation skill. It was still too early. The appearance of clear zither sound allowed Lin Yuan to see Chimey's infinite possibilities. With the sun as an anchor, when Chimey used its ability, it would look almost no different from a celestial phenomenon. Controlling celestial phenomena was an ability that only 10-star sacred source lifeforms possessed, apart from the favored spirits. As a Fae, Chimey was very likely to be able to do this. Currently, Chimey only had one sound-type ability, Broken Jade Sound. As Chimey's strength increased and its sound-type bloodline was constantly strengthened, new sound-type abilities would always appear. However, even if it only had one ability, Broken Jade Sound, with the sun as an anchor, it was already strong enough. Chimey's Broken Jade Sound used the sun as a muzzle and was fired at everything. As long as the sun's light elemental energy did not dry up, Chimey's Broken Jade Sound would be endless. Lin Yuan had to admit that Chimey's advancement to Diamond had brought him a huge surprise. Next, he just had to wait for Genius and Chimey to evolve to Fantasy V. Genius and Chimey would then be able to obtain a brand new metamorphosis before becoming myth breeds. Lin Yuan was looking forward to this day's arrival. The source sand was previously at Diamond I. When Lin Yuan's source sand reached Diamond X, the source sand's guard sand had increased by nearly 100 times. Lin Yuan realized that the source sand's guard sand had increased by nearly 100 times. Now, as long as Lin Yuan wanted to, the guard sand could cover a 1-kilometer radius around him. Moreover, he could control these guard sand like his own arms. He could make any exquisite changes with his thoughts. Immediately after, Lin Yuan urged the source sand. The ground that was covered by yellow sand collapsed, and the sand body traveled underground. The area within 10 kilometers immediately turned into a purgatory of sand. Moreover, the sand was constantly expanding its territory. In less than a minute, Lin Yuan had created a sea of sand within 30 kilometers. Lin Yuan controlled these guard sand, and they changed their shapes under his control. Suddenly, an idea flashed in Lin Yuan's mind. Immediately after, the sand body under Lin Yuan's feet surged, and a 3-meter-tall, 2-meter-long sandhouse appeared in the center of the quicksand vortex. In this small sand house formed by the guard sand, Lin Yuan was wantonly moving his body around. After Lin Yuan's control, the small sand house's interior was very exquisitely carved. Using the guard sand to form a small sandhouse was far from Lin Yuan's limit. As a large number of guard sand gathered toward the small sandhouse became bigger and bigger. Finally, it formed a 30-meter tall, 20-meter long, and 20-meter wide castle. After this castle was formed, the guard sand's activities were far from stopping. The source sand's exclusive skill, Metal Consume Manifestation, devoured a total of 3 types of metal. These 3 types of metal were also designated into 3 forms. These 3 types of metal and 3 forms were chain swords made of radium uranium steel, feathers made of day and night spirit silver, and triangular lines made of red lotus soft gold. The guard sand precipitated a large number of these 3 types of metal into their designated forms. Chain swords made of radium uranium steel were built in the castle like bones. These chain swords built in the castle could be launched out of the castle at the fastest speed at any time. The day and night spirit silver turned into feathers and attached to the castle's surface. The day and night spirit silver's powerful defensive ability and hardness increased the castle's defense. From time to time, the day and night spirit silver would fall from the castle and separate. A defensive zone was formed around the castle. The triangular lines made of red lotus soft gold moved back and forth in the land around the castle like spirit snakes. Chapter 15:15. Lin Yuan had chosen the liquid metal, the red lotus soft gold, because it had an extremely strong ductility. Once spirit chi was channeled into it, the liquid red lotus soft gold could instantly turn into a needle with extremely strong piercing performance. This triangular line formed by the red lotus soft gold could completely replace the heart-penetrating iron line, an alien insect that was accepted by the exclusive skill, Sand Spirit Acceptance. Immediately after, the castle changed again. A large number of gears formed by the guard sand began to densely cover the interior of the castle. By channeling spirit chi, the density of the guard sand would change. A small amount of spirit chi was channeled into the castle, allowing the guard sand to turn into gears. It could allow the castle to move quickly in the sea of sand. Immediately after, the sand-formed castle stretched out its legs and hands like a giant. The castle giant's legs and hands were embedded with chain swords made of radium-uranium steel. In his previous life, Lin Yuan had seen an anime called Howl's Moving Castle. Now, Lin Yuan had also built his moving castle through the source sand. As an elemental source-type lifeform, Lin Yuan had always focused on its group ability in nurturing it. But now, through the guard sand and the exclusive skill, metal consume manifestation, it had transformed into these metal spiritual materials. This allowed the source sand to become a standing attacking giant in the sea of sand. In this way, it was enough to maximize the source sand's offensive power. After experimenting with the evolved source sand's abilities, Lin Yuan felt that it should be on the agenda to choose a suitable fey or dimensional lifeform for the source sand's exclusive skill, Sand Spirit Acceptance. Because the source sand swallow metal had transformed into the red lotus soft gold, the red lotus soft gold turned into a triangular shape. Lin Yuan had already eliminated the heart-penetrating iron line. Lin Yuan was never picky about the choice of Sand Spirit Acceptance. Strengthening his defense and controlling the sea of sand were all within Lin Yuan's choice. As for offensive power, Lin Yuan thought about it and let it go. Now, Lin Yuan's attack mainly relied on Black's exclusive skill, Spirit Purity Burst, and Princess Sacred Sword Mode's sword skill. No matter how strong the Source Sand's Sand Grain Spirit Acceptance Fey was, a Diamond X Fantasy 3 Source Sand could not compare to the power of a sword technique. Therefore, strengthening the Source Sand's offensive power was equivalent to wasting its talent to some extent. As for improving the Source Sand's quality, it was not difficult for him now. The mountain-containing embryo might be rare, but compared to the essence blood of a main dragon species Fey or the spirit wisdom purple Zorizir, it was much more valuable. In terms of rarity, it was still a level lower. As long as he posted a bounty of 100 Heavenly Maiden grade elemental pearls on Star Web, he would be able to receive the mountain-containing embryo. He let out a sigh of relief after upgrading all his Feys to Diamond X by relying on Spirit Chi crystals. Previously, Lin Yuan's Fey grade had always been lower than the Radiant sect's younger generation's vanguard. Zhong Ziyi, Jiyu Lang, and he, and Liu Jie's Feys had all reached Diamond X Fantasy V. As for Lin Yuan, only a few of his Feys had reached Diamond I. Now, Lin Yuan had caught up. In terms of Feys, there was no longer any difference between Lin Yuan and Radiance's younger generation vanguard. As for quality, he was confident that he could raise Chimey, Genius, Source Sand, and Blackie's quality to Fantasy V. Only the Purple Firmament did not have a good solution because Lin Yuan could not find the Nirvana Obsidian Butterfly. Next, he was going to make a trip to the Coiled Dragon Valley to obtain the essence blood from the Long family to help Blackie evolve from a pure-blooded WRM species to a main dragon species Fey. He took out his cell phone and dialed Long Dao's number. When chatting in the group last night, Long Dao said that he would personally oversee the Abyss in 2 days and manage the operations of the organization. Moreover, by fighting the abyssal demons, he would be able to hone his combat skills. If Lin Yuan did not look for Long Dao these few days and waited for Long Dao to enter the Abyss world, he would not be able to find Long Dao. If he wanted to find Long Dao, he would have to wait for him to return from the Abyss world. Soon, Long Dao picked up the phone. Lin Yuan said to Long Dao, "Brother Long, are you still in the old house in the Coiling Dragon Valley?" Upon hearing that, Long Dao hurriedly replied, knowing that Lin Yuan had something to talk to him about. "Brother Lin, I'm at the old house in Coiling Dragon Valley right now. Do you want me to find you there?" Long Dao thought that Lin Yuan wanted him to retrieve the Golden Lotus Brocade Stalk. But today wasn't the appointed time. Lin Yuan had already provided the previous batch of Golden Lotus Brocade Stalks to the Coiling Dragon Valley. The next batch of Golden Lotus Brocade Stalks should be delivered next week. Long Dao was grateful to Lin Yuan from the bottom of his heart. Out of kinship, Lin Yuan had helped his father's Fey with damaged roots break through to Myth 3. Out of friendship, Lin Yuan had helped him too much. Lin Yuan had pulled him together to form a faction and develop the Abyss world. It was the same as giving him a bright future. Otherwise, even if Long Dao was the Coiling Dragon Valley's young family head and the Radiance 100 Sequences number 3, he wouldn't be able to fight his way into the circle of His Holiness disciples. Out of the Coiling Dragon Valley, Lin Yuan had provided the Coiling Dragon Valley with golden lotus brocade stalks, increasing the overall Coiling Dragon Valley's creation master resources by 30%. While this allowed the Coiling Dragon Valley to develop faster, it also allowed the Coiling Dragon Valley to harvest more resources. It raised the Coiling Dragon Valley's status among the top factions. It allowed the Coiling Dragon Valley to have a chance of reaching the top 5 this year. This was all Lin Yuan's help to him and the Coiling Dragon Valley. Therefore, whenever there was something, Long Dao would think of doing something to repay Lin Yuan. At that moment, Long Dao heard Lin Yuan continue speaking. Big brother Long, there's no need for that. I want to discuss a deal with the Coiling Dragon Valley in the Coiling Dragon Valley. I need you to be the middleman. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Long Dao immediately knew that Lin Yuan wasn't coming to the Coiling Dragon Valley as the Moon Empress disciple. Instead, he was coming as a friend. Otherwise, there was no need for Lin Yuan to inform him in advance. As long as he sent a notice to the Coiling Dragon Valley, his father and the Coiling Dragon Valley's elders would have to wait for Lin Yuan's arrival. Even if his grandfather was in seclusion and was preparing to become immortal. But even so, when Lin Yuan really arrived, he would not be able to do anything. His grandfather would have to come out of seclusion and greet Lin Yuan to show respect. Lin Yuan wanted him to be the middleman to show that they were true brothers. On the other hand, it was also to show respect for the Coiling Dragon Valley. Long Dao quickly said, "Brother Lin, what deal do you want to make? Just say it. I'll go inform them and prepare it for you before you come." Lin Yuan didn't hide anything and said, "Big brother Long, the Coiling Dragon Valley should have pureblood flood dragon species phase that can evolve into main dragon species, right? I want some pureblood flood dragon species phase that can evolve into main dragon species." Chapter 15-16. Long Dao's heart skipped a beat. The Coiling Dragon Valley did have such a fae that could evolve from a flood dragon to a main dragon species. However, this fae was his grandfather's main fae. It was now a Class 10 monarch and a Class 8 creation calamity. It was charging toward immortal. The few drops of essence blood that Lin Yuan needed in the family were the main dragon species phase. In order for his grandfather's main fae to break through, it had been absorbed by his grandfather's main fae. If he wanted such essence blood now, he could only let his grandfather's main fae condense it. Once his grandfather's strength reached immortal, the Coiling Dragon Valley's position among the top factions would change drastically. The Whale Ocean trade was blocked by the spirit guards. No one knew what was happening inside. However, according to the spirit guards, the Whale Ocean trade had been removed from the Radiance faction list. Once his grandfather reached immortal, the Coiling Dragon Valley would have the ability to fill the gap in the top 3 factions. However, Long Dao could not refuse Lin Yuan's request. The entire Coiling Dragon Valley could not refuse either. The Long family owed Lin Yuan too much. Long Dao said, "I will let the family prepare in advance. When brother Lin comes, just take it away." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan replied, "Big brother Long, I will go to the Coiling Dragon Valley now. As for the deal, we will discuss it when I arrive." With that, Lin Yuan hung up the phone. When Lin Yuan arrived at the Coiling Dragon Valley mansion on Little Black, he found Long Dao and all the Coiling Dragon Valley's direct descendants waiting for him at the door. Long Dao stood in the middle of the group. On Long Dao's left stood the Long family head, Long Tu. On the right stood an old man with white hair and beard. Lin Yuan could clearly feel the old man's gaze on him. It was filled with complicated emotions. At the same time, he was sincerely welcoming Lin Yuan. When these people saw Lin Yuan jump off Little Black's back, they were preparing to greet him. At that moment, Long Tu and Long Du saw Lin Yuan bow to them as a junior. Then, he walked to Long Dao's side and said with a reproachful tone, "Big brother Long, why are you so polite?" Lin Yuan's tone was very sincere, and it warmed Long Dao's heart. This also deepened Long Tu's impression of Lin Yuan, who had previously understood him, and Long Du, who had never come into contact with him. He was not arrogant or rash and treated everyone with courtesy. The more talented a person was, the more arrogant they were. Long Tu, Long Dao, and Long Du were all born with a silver spoon in their mouths. From the moment they were born, they carried the unique arrogance of geniuses. Long Du and Long Tu asked themselves if they could reach such a level of courtesy. Naturally, Long Dao couldn't reach it. Before coming to welcome Lin Yuan, Long Du had understood the situation and pondered for a moment. He resolutely gave up on the rare opportunity for his creation peak stage main battle spirit, the weak water ice Jade Jiao, to become an immortal. The water ice Jade Jiao mobilized all of its qi and blood, trying its best to condense 5 drops of blood essence. As a weak water ice Jade Dragon at the peak of creation stage, it only had around 12 or 13 drops of blood essence in its entire body. The condensation of 5 drops of essence blood was equivalent to the rudimentary water ice Jade Jiao suffering an extremely serious injury. If he wanted to let the rudimentary ice Jade Jiao recover, he would probably need to use elemental pearls that contained pure water elements to nourish it for several years. As the Long family's former head, Long Du was willing to give up his own benefits in order to repay Lin Yuan. However, he still felt a little uncomfortable. Now that he saw Lin Yuan's courteous attitude, Long Du's uncomfortable feeling dissipated a little. When Long Du saw the Black Flood Dragon under Lin Yuan, he was secretly shocked. As a pinnacle Class 4 creation master, Long Du recognized this Black Flood Dragon as the Spirit Tide Black Flood Dragon. It was a fae that had evolved from a butterfly tail spirit siphon goldfish. Long Du couldn't imagine how much pure spirit qi had been supplied. That was why a small butterfly tail spirit siphon goldfish could undergo such atavism when its dragon species bloodline was stimulated. It was obvious that Lin Yuan had come to ask for the essence blood to improve the Spirit Tide Black Flood Dragon's quality. Otherwise, Lin Yuan wouldn't have needed to specifically ask for the essence blood of a pure-blooded flood dragon to a main dragon species fae. When Long Dao heard Lin Yuan's words, he didn't regard himself as an outsider and smiled. "This is your first time coming to our Coiled Dragon Valley's old mansion. The next time you come, there won't be so many people to welcome you." After returning to the main mansion with the Long family, Long Du took out 5 test tubes made of amethyst. Each of the 5 test tubes contained a drop of sparkling purplish gold blood. This drop of purplish gold blood was condensed with dragon qi, which would fly out from time to time. It was as though once the bottle was opened, this drop of dragon blood would transform into a dragon and fly out. "Lord Lin Yuan, this is the essence blood you want. If it isn't enough, my Long family can give you another 3 drops." When speaking, Long Du had a resolute expression. However, Long Dao and Long Tu looked at Long Du with worried expressions. If the weak water ice Jade Flood Dragon condensed another 3 drops of essence blood, it would fall into a near-death state, and its roots might be injured. If it continued to be nurtured, it wouldn't be something that could be solved with elemental pearls and a few years of effort. After receiving the amethyst test tubes from Long Tu, Lin Yuan said, 5 drops are enough. I previously agreed to carry out a transaction with Big Brother Long. I wonder if, before Lin Yuan could finish speaking, Long Tu said, Lord Lin Yuan, my Long family is indebted to you. Lord Lin Yuan's kindness to our Long family is as heavy as a mountain. He allowed our Long family to leap from a top-notch faction to the top 10 in just a few months. What transaction is Lord Lin Yuan discussing with the Long family? If you need the essence blood, just take it. In fact, the Long family could tell Lin Yuan about Long Tu's situation. This would undoubtedly win Lin Yuan's favor. Long Dao wouldn't do this, and Long Tu and Long Du naturally wouldn't choose to do so either. After all, Long Du's final choice was to repay the kindness, not to seek repayment. Hearing Long Tu's words, Lin Yuan shook his head seriously. Uncle Long, that's a different matter. How many pinnacle emperor-class experts does the Long family have now? Hearing Lin Yuan's words, Long Tu, Long Du, and Long Dao held their breaths. The 3 of them knew that Lin Yuan had law crystals. The Long family had previously traded with Lin Yuan, allowing Long Tu's fae to smoothly evolve to Myth 3. Now that Lin Yuan was asking how many pinnacle emperor-class experts the Long family had, it was obvious that he wanted to trade law crystals. In exchange for the Long family's essence blood. Each emperor-class expert was an extremely precious treasure to a top-notch faction. When emperor-class experts were sent to various major cities, they could oversee the major cities and open up business. Even if Emperor-class experts were sent to sweep through dimensional rifts, they could obtain massive amounts of resources every year. Moreover, when the various top-notch factions reached a strategic cooperation, generally, each top-notch faction would send an Emperor-class expert to supervise the cooperation process. Chapter 15:17. If one side did not send out an Emperor-level expert, even if that side put in more effort in other aspects, they would not be able to defeat the other side. They would still appear to be relatively weak in the cooperation. Due to the difficulty of evolving dragon species phase, the number of Emperor-class experts had always been the Long family's shortcoming. Now, Lin Yuan wanted to use the Law Crystal to trade with the Long family. Long Tu and Long Du couldn't refuse at all. Just as Long Dao was about to insist on giving the essence blood to Lin Yuan continued to speak. I believe the Long clan should have heard the news about the whale ocean trade. Now, there are vacancies among the Radiance's top 3 factions. We need a faction that can compete with the Rhine lifeform and the Brahma insect cage to fill this position. As a creation master faction, the Long family is very suitable to replace the whale ocean trade and fill this gap. I can raise the strength of the Long family's peak Emperor stage experts to the Overlord stage. After saying that, Lin Yuan took out a brocade pouch. There were 100 law crystals in the pouch. Upon hearing that, Long Tu and Long Du looked at Lin Yuan with excitement in their eyes. The Coiled Dragon Valley might not have a lot of Emperor-class experts, but it was a pinnacle faction that relied on creation masters. A large number of Class 4 creation master resources could easily push an Emperor-class expert to the pinnacle of the Emperor class. The number of peak martial emperors in the Coiling Dragon Valley far exceeded that of the other forces. It was because of this that the Coiling Dragon Valley had not many Emperor-level experts. They would still be able to occupy a place among the top forces and take the lead. Upon seeing Long Dao's hesitant expression, Lin Yuan said softly, "That's right. If it weren't for my relationship with Big Brother Dragon, I definitely wouldn't have taken something like the Law Crystal out." Upon hearing that, Long Dao did not know what to say for a moment. This time, the Long family wanted to return a favor to Lin Yuan. However, he had not expected Lin Yuan to give the Long family an even bigger favor in return. Long Tu and Long Du were overjoyed, but at the same time, they began to ponder. With Long Tu and Long Du's experience, they wouldn't think about things as simply as Long Dao. Lin Yuan was the Moon Empress disciple and the champion of both the civil and martial arena. There was no reason not to fight for the position of Radiance Envoy. If the Coiling Dragon Valley was really pushed to the position of one of the top 3 forces, then, when Lin Yuan ran for the Radiance 100 sequence, the Long family would be able to help. After all, the higher the ranking of the top forces, the more votes they had. Even though the Coiling Dragon Valley had always wanted to rely on the Bamboo Monarch for so many years, the Coiling Dragon Valley had always wanted to rely on the Bamboo Monarch. But there wasn't much progress. Ever since the Bamboo Monarch had been plagued by misfortune because of Wang Fuxiang, the Coiling Dragon Valley had formed a connection with Lin Yuan. After that, he never came into contact with Purple Bamboo Garden again. Originally, Long Tu and Long Du felt that forming a relationship with Lin Yuan was equivalent to forming a relationship with the Radiant Moon Palace's Moon Empress. However, it now seemed that Lin Yuan was a big tree that the Long family could rely on. The Long family should place all their bets on Lin Yuan for the sake of love and profit. Long Tu, who understood, said to Lin Yuan, "Our Coiling Dragon Valley currently has 31 peak-level Emperor stage experts. 7 of them are still a bit short of that level. But he has also reached the standard that other forces have for peak Emperor-level experts." Hearing Long Tu's words, Lin Yuan was secretly surprised. The number of Emperor-level experts in the Coiling Dragon Valley was actually close to double that of the Beast Creation Garden. This was enough to show why the Coiled Dragon Valley was able to crush the Beast Creation Garden in the competition. Lin Yuan said, "Then, Uncle Long, please call all the peak-level Emperor stage experts that are still in the old mansion. Let's go to the outskirts of the royal capital and choose a place to break through together." Hearing that, Long Tu quickly turned around and followed Lin Yuan's instructions. He called all the 17 peak-level Emperor stage experts that were currently in the old mansion in the royal capital over. They went all the way to an empty space in the outskirts of the royal capital. With the provision of Lin Yuan's law crystals, the peak-level myth-breed dragon species phase that the Long family's emperor-level experts had contracted all welcomed the opportunity to break through. They were advancing toward creation breed. Seeing 7 or 8 calamities of creation condensing in the air at the same time, as the Long family's strongest expert, Long Du, immediately summoned his 2 main phase, the weak water ice jade flood dragon and the extreme dark earthen tyrannosaurus. Lin Yuan realized that the weak water ice jade flood dragon, which was of higher grade and quality, was actually slightly weaker than the extreme dark earthen tyrannosaurus in terms of aura. There was only one possibility for the dragon species phase to be so weak and look like they had been hollowed out. That was, they had condensed essence blood. If they had only condensed 1 or 2 drops, their aura should not be so weak. Thinking that the weak water ice jade flood dragon was a main dragon species fae that had evolved from a pure-blooded flood dragon, Lin Yuan looked deeply at Long Du. Since the Long family had treated him with such affection, Lin Yuan naturally had to accept their kindness. Since that was the case, Lin Yuan shouted in a low voice, "Shadow, stop these calamities of creation and then divide the original calamities of creation's power into 100 parts. Temper these main phase that had just evolved into creation breeds separately." As Lin Yuan's voice fell, a black shadow scuttled out of Lin Yuan's shadow. According to Lin Yuan's instructions, Shadow waved its hand to stop the calamities of creation. As a pinnacle Emperor-class expert, Long Du could easily control phase to help resist the calamities of creation. However, the weak water ice jade flood dragon and the extreme dark earthen tyrannosaurus, whose strength was still at the creation realm, were at the same level as the calamities of creation. Therefore, neither the weak water ice jade flood dragon nor the extreme dark earthen tyrannosaurus could separate the calamities of creation. These dragon species phase that had just evolved into main dragon species would be baptized by the calamities of creation again and again. They would be able to perfectly stimulate their bloodline power. It was only at this moment that the Coiling Dragon Valley's experts knew. What did the expert that had silently killed the Beast Creation Garden's Emperor-class expert in the Extreme Arena look like? Shadow's appearance looked very different from ordinary people, but it was not very similar to a fae. Even now that the Abyss world had opened, the Coiling Dragon Valley's people had yet to come into contact with a Class 12 demon that was comparable to an immortal fae. Therefore, the Long family's experts could not specifically confirm Shadow's identity. However, everyone could feel from Shadow's strength that it had already broken away from the realm of creation breeds. This made Long Du very envious. When helping the Long family's experts through the world tribulation, Lin Yuan did not request to absorb the earth vein of creation. However, just like when Endless Summer had become a creation breed, the earth vein of creation would slightly overflow. When the Long family's experts phase absorbed the earth vein of creation, a small portion would also overflow. This part of the overflow was collected by Lin Yuan using the Pure Land of Bliss. Through his previous communication with Princess, Lin Yuan knew that source-type power could strengthen the earth vein of creation. These fish food-sized creation golden pearls could be used as the prototype of the nomological world's earth vein. Chapter 1518. The Void Shadow Demon was helping these new creation breed main dragon species phase strengthen their bodies with the calamity of creation. Then, it escaped into Lin Yuan's shadow again. The Long family's experts, whose strength had just increased, brought their phase and continuously expressed their gratitude to Lin Yuan. Just as Long too suggested that everyone return to the Long residence and set up a banquet to welcome Lin Yuan replied, "If we want Coiling Dragon Valley to replace the Whale Ocean Trade Center's position, just having Emperor-level combat power isn't enough. It needs the support of undying power. The weak water ice jade dragon's current strength has already reached Sovereign King level 10, 8th tribulation of creation. All I need is an opportunity, and I'll be able to lay my hands on eternity." Lin Yuan's words stunned everyone in the Long family. Then, everyone looked at Lin Yuan with rapid breathing. In particular, Long Du looked at Lin Yuan with an abnormally scorching gaze. Could it be that Lin Yuan was planning to give his weak water, ice jade, and flood dragon an opportunity to become immortal? It was just that his weak water ice jade flood dragon had just condensed 5 drops of blood essence, and its vitality was greatly damaged. Even if he was given a chance now, he wouldn't be able to grasp it. At that moment, Long Tu saw Lin Yuan take out a wooden box and hand it to him. There's no time to lose. Let's use the items in this wooden chest to help the rudimentary ice jade flood dragon recover its vitality. Then, I can take out a world crystal and see if this world crystal can give the Ruoxue jade falling dragon a chance to become immortal. As Lin Yuan spoke, Long Du had already opened the wooden box. Long Du, who had just opened the wooden box, was almost blinded by the dazzling treasures inside. He only needed to absorb half of the Heavenly Maiden-grade water elemental pearls. On top of that, there were also some Emperor-grade spirit materials that could replenish qi and blood. It was able to let the Ruoxue jade falling serpent recover its energy in a short time. Long Du thought to himself when Lin Yuan mentioned the world crystal. It really was a world crystal. Only Class 5 creation masters could use world crystals to concoct world crystals to create a world crystal that could allow a pinnacle of world creation Fae to become immortal. It must be known that the 3 highnesses of the Hui Yarrow sect had never bestowed world crystals to outsiders. The world crystal had always been digested internally by the 3 Class 5 creation masters. Now, Lin Yuan took out the world crystal and gave it to the Long family. It could be said that in the Radiant sect's history, it was the largest gift of Class 5 creation master resources that a top faction had ever received. If Lin Yuan and the Moon Empress were separated, now, it was proven that relying on Lin Yuan was more beneficial than relying on other Class 5 creation masters. There was no one in the Coiling Dragon Valley who forgot their roots. Long Du, Long Tu, and Long Dao also hated people who forgot their roots and didn't care about friendship. Today, Lin Yuan's gift had elevated the Coiling Dragon Valley to a high position among the top 3 factions. From today onward, the Coiling Dragon Valley would be on Lin Yuan's side. As smart people, Long Tu and Long Du wouldn't say something like that. After all, it would only make the relationship between Long Dao and Lin Yuan awkward. But even if he didn't say it, he could do it. When using these Heavenly Maiden-grade elemental pearls, the humanoid weak water ice jade flood dragon bowed deeply to Lin Yuan with gratitude. Only then did he start to use the Heavenly Maiden-grade elemental pearls to recover the damage he had suffered from condensing his essence blood. The Coiling Dragon Valley had a lot of imperial spiritual ingredients that could recover qi and blood. After all, after a dragon species Fae condensed its essence blood, it would need spiritual ingredients that could recover qi and blood to accelerate the recovery speed. With the consumption of a large number of Heavenly Maiden-grade elemental pearls and qi and blood recovery spiritual ingredients, the weak water ice jade flood dragon's aura kept rising. Soon, it suppressed the extreme dark earth Tyrannosaurus. It once again displayed the power of a pinnacle creation master dragon species Fae. The humanoid extreme dark earth Tyrannosaurus looked at the weak water ice jade flood dragon with envy. The extreme dark earth Tyrannosaurus knew that its brother dragon was going to metamorphose into a new life level in the future. The power of a dragon species Fae could only be truly displayed when it reached immortality. Only a dragon species Fae that had the strength to peak at immortality could condense dragon pearls. Long Du still had strength to spare when facing the tribulation of creation. However, there was nothing Long Du could do about the deathless forging that would descend upon him when he reached deathless. The tribulation of creation was much more dangerous than the world cleansing, and the tribulation of immortality was much more dangerous than the tribulation of creation. Therefore, even if Lin Yuan gave his main Fae, the weak water ice jade flood dragon, a chance to reach immortality, Long Du was still afraid that his weak water ice jade flood dragon would die at this opportunity. The tribulation of immortality was different from the world cleansing and the tribulation of creation. The tribulation of immortality didn't have any worldly phenomena and only acted on the Fae itself. The power of immortality evolved from the world of law would cleanse the Fae's body. Then, it would cleanse the body and slowly grind the complete world of law of the 8 creation earth veins. It would fuse its body with the broken world of law. It would form an immortal body in the world. The world of law was the source of all the power of a creation breed Fae. Even if it survived the danger of the power of immortality, If it wanted to reach immortality, it would have to bear the risk of using its body to grind the world of law. Immortality was an unknown realm for the entire Coiling Dragon Valley. Because of the unknown, it was afraid. It wasn't that the tribulation of immortality couldn't be like the world cleansing and the tribulation of creation, where other experts could help. They just wanted to help a pinnacle creation breed Fae complete the first tribulation of immortality. In the beginning, the helper had to use great power to protect the body. They didn't want the body to be destroyed by the power of immortality. Then, they had to use great power to create a barrier around the target that wouldn't be broken by the power of the world. They had to prevent the power of the world from leaking out and forming the immortal body. These 2 points seemed easy, but to complete the first point, they needed precise control of the power of immortality. Only then could they ensure that the body wouldn't be destroyed by the power of immortality. This was something that the expert Lin Yuan had just used obviously couldn't do. To accurately control the power of immortality, the helper had to be at least level 5 immortal. As for the second point, it was even more difficult. When the world of law of the 8 creation earth veins collapsed, even a level 5 immortal expert wouldn't be able to withstand the power. Once the barrier was broken, the power of the world would leak out. In the end, even if the immortal body was formed, it wouldn't be complete. It could only be considered a broken body. Therefore, to ensure that the seed of creation Fae was 100% safe, at least a level 7 immortal expert was needed to help. But where could they find such an expert? Anyway, the Long family couldn't be found. Therefore, when they first heard that Di Wanqing had successfully become an immortal and that the Zhai family had 2 immortal experts, the Emperor-class experts of the various factions all sighed at Di Wanqing's good luck. Chapter 15:19. Just as Long Du was feeling apprehensive, Lin Yuan spoke. In a while, the expert guarding the Jade Falling Serpent will arrive. Don't worry, as long as the Ruoshire Jade Falling Flood Dragon can keep its composure, no accidents will happen. I can guarantee the safety of the Ruoshire Jade Falling Dragon 100%. Hearing Lin Yuan's words, Long Du immediately understood that Lin Yuan controlled immortal level 7 and above. This was simply too shocking. Then, an irrepressible sense of gratitude flowed through Long Du's heart. Long Du, who had lived for most of his life, was already half a foot in the grave. He had never been so grateful to someone in his life. Long Dao had really made a good friend. Lin Yuan was simply the Coiling Dragon Valley's little lucky star. After feeling grateful, Long Du fell into a state of shock. No one understood the situation in Coiling Dragon Valley better than Long Du. The Coiled Dragon Valley was close to the top 10 among the Radiance's 50 top factions. It was all because of the Golden Lotus Brocade Stalk's sudden increase in Creation Master resources. This kind of foundation that relied on external items to increase greatly made the position of the Coiling Dragon Valley unstable. It would take a few years or even a dozen years for Coiling Dragon Valley to firmly take root among the top 10 factions. In the end, after Lin Yuan came to the Coiled Dragon Valley, he had to rely on resources. He pushed the Coiling Dragon Valley to the top 3 of the peak factions. He took out dozens of law crystals and added a dozen Emperor-level powerhouses to the Coiling Dragon Valley. Then, he took out the World Crystal and summoned experts to help him. It would allow him to have a 100% chance of becoming undying. With such resources and ability, even if he did not spend them on the Coiling Dragon Valley, he would still be able to spend them on any of the veteran top factions. That faction could fill the gap in the Whale Ocean's trade and become one of the top 3 factions. These resources were given by the Moon Empress or in Lin Yuan's hands. It was enough to prove that he had the power to change the faction structure. Lin Yuan had already asked the Slaughter Sky Butterfly to contact Bai Yang. At this time, Bai Yang was rushing towards the entrance of the Swamp World's Klein Hub. In less than an hour, Lin Yuan waved his hand and summoned Bai Yang. When Bai Yang saw Lin Yuan, he hurriedly bowed and said, "Bai Yang greets my lord." While greeting Lin Yuan, Bai Yang used his peripheral vision to look at the Long family's people. His gaze rested on the Ruoshire Ice Jade Serpent for a while. In Bai Yang's opinion, if there was a conflict, the Weakwater Ice Jade Flood Dragon would pose the greatest threat to Lin Yuan. Thus, Bai Yang released a trace of his own aura and enveloped the rudimentary water ice jade dragon. The rudimentary water ice jade Jiao felt like it was in the mouth of a crocodile in a deep pool. He had a creepy feeling that he might be swallowed by the giant crocodile at any time. Lin Yuan instructed Bai Yang. Bai Yang, retract your aura. In a moment, form a barrier around his body, and use your power to prevent the undying power from destroying his body. When Bai Yang heard this, he didn't understand why the Lord Ruler wanted him to help this otherworld person. But since this was the sovereign's arrangement, he had to do it beautifully. It had to be said that Bai Yang's thoughts had been enlightened on the island of Stormy Wave City. He was increasingly seeing Lin Yuan as a god. No matter what Lin Yuan asked Bai Yang to do, Bai Yang, who would wholeheartedly obey Lin Yuan, would not think too much about it. Bai Yang placed his hand on the eternal ice jade flood dragon's back. Immediately after, a thick aura surged into the body of the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao. Bai Yang, whose strength was comparable to a peak immortal, could not be resisted by the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao. The moment Bai Yang's energy entered its body, the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao felt that its body was almost out of control. Lin Yuan said to the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao, "Now, swallow the world crystal." Hearing Lin Yuan's instructions, the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao put the world crystal into its mouth with a sacred expression. It was ready to welcome the transformation of its life form. As the energy within the world crystal surged into the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's law world, the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao felt its law world suddenly expand and contract. 8 Genesis earth veins embedded in the ground of the world, stabilizing the world, flew up. In the process of interweaving in the air, a magnificent dark golden energy was born. This magnificent dark golden energy squatted outside the law world. It broke through the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's world crystal and merged into its body. Immediately after, the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao felt as if its whole body was burning. An indescribable pain spread through its flesh. Fortunately, the power that the immortal expert behind it had just injected into its body firmly supported its flesh. Otherwise, his flesh and blood would fall apart in less than 2 minutes under the influence of this dark golden energy. Bai Yang frowned and sensed the situation in the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's body. After the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's body got used to the immortal power, Bai Yang withdrew a part of the energy that he had injected into the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's body. This allowed more of the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's flesh to be cleansed by the immortal power. 1 day and 1 night passed. From the sun hanging high in the sky to the stars, and then to the sun rising in the east. The rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's body emerged with a faint dark golden color. As soon as this aura leaked out, the extreme dark earthburst dragon staggered a step back. The Long family members watched the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's body being cleansed by the immortal power. Their eyes were full of expectation. At this moment, Bai Yang said, "I will withdraw the last bit of energy that I injected into your body. What I can do next is to make this shield unbreakable. You will have to rely on yourself for the rest. Don't waste the fortune that our Lord has given you." With that, Bai Yang's hand left the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's back. Then, Bai Yang's eyes turned eerily white, and a majestic energy spurted out from Bai Yang's eyes. On the shield that covered the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's body, a giant crocodile figure appeared. The scales on the giant crocodile's figure could be clearly seen, head to tail on the shield. Even when the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's law world was crushed, the energy that erupted could not even cause a ripple on the shield. At this moment, the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao was enduring 100 times more pain than before. The law world was shattered, causing the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao to instantly feel as if it had lost all its power. This feeling made the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao, who had been holding the power, panic. But before the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao could panic for long, it felt that its body was being cleansed by the immortal power. It was constantly absorbing the fragments of the broken world. Then, the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao found that its lost power was returning bit by bit. And this returned power was perfectly integrated into the immortal body. It made the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao feel as if the world was immortal in its body. Its body could also be immortal in this world. Chapter 1520. Suddenly, the immortal ice jade flood dragon felt a warmth in its abdomen. It felt as though it was giving birth to a new life. This feeling made the immortal ice jade flood dragon panic. It was a male flood dragon. Could a male flood dragon also give birth? Don't want to be a male mother? Immediately after, the immortal ice jade flood dragon reacted. It should have given birth to a dragon pearl. The rudimentary ice jade Jiao opened its mouth and spat out a bead. It was a dragon pearl. This dragon pearl was the size of a fist and was covered with majestic dragon chi. This dragon chi reflected the surrounding scenery, making it look a little hazy. An extremely cold water-type power spread out from this dragon pearl. This power made Bai Yang feel very comfortable. It was even more comfortable than scraping the scales from the little ribfish and smearing them on its scales. However, no matter how comfortable it was, Bai Yang could not let his temper take this dragon pearl for himself. A main dragon spitting out a pearl was already the limit of the main dragon bloodline. When the dragon pearl transformed into spirit, the main dragon would break through the original shackles and step into a new bloodline level. After the immortal ice jade flood dragon kept the dragon pearl, a simple puppet appeared in front of it. This was the immortal body formed by the immortal ice jade flood dragon. As the immortal body of the immortal ice jade flood dragon increased in quality, the immortal body would show more and more colors and become more and more exquisite. The immortal ice jade flood dragon's human form would also recover more and more fey characteristics. Lin Yuan said to Long Du with a smile. Congratulations on successfully becoming immortal. How the Long family will replace the position of whale ocean trade will depend on you to show your strength to the other top factions and obtain recognition. Long Du and the immortal ice jade flood dragon bowed deeply to Lin Yuan. Lord Lin Yuan, we know what to do next. Thank you, Lord Lin Yuan, for giving Coiling Dragon Valley a chance to prosper. If Coiling Dragon Valley needed anything from now on, Lord Lin Yuan could assign it. Coiling Dragon Valley would go through fire and water without any hesitation. When Lin Yuan heard that, he suddenly remembered that his source sand still needed the mountain-containing embryo to improve its quality. I really need a set of spiritual ingredients. I wonder if your Coiling Dragon Valley has a mountain-containing embryo? I need at least 3 mountain-containing embryos to enhance phase. Long Dao knew of Black's identity. Upon hearing that Lin Yuan wanted to use the mountain-containing embryo to enhance phase, he immediately thought of Lin Yuan's source sand. Brother Lin Yuan, our Coiling Dragon Valley has some stock of mountain-capacity embryos. There should be 7 or 8 of them. I'll pack them up for you when we get back. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan did not refuse. Although 3 or 4 mountain-containing embryos could raise the source sand's quality to Fantasy V, it was far from enough. However, more of the mountain-containing embryo was absorbed by the source sand, allowing it to produce more guard sand. The increase in the number of guard sand was equivalent to increasing the strength of the source sand. Lin Yuan followed the Long family back to the Coiling Dragon Valley and accepted their hospitality. Unexpectedly, as soon as they finished their meal, a large number of insect cries rang out in the valley behind the old house in the Coiled Dragon Valley. The people in the Coiling Dragon Valley were not surprised by the sudden buzzing of insects. Instead, he was pleasantly surprised. Long Dao explained to Lin Yuan. This should be another Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift that expanded to the pinnacle of Class 4. If a pinnacle faction opened a dimensional rift on its own, it would not be able to do so. If there were experts in the faction, they could easily suppress the dimensional lifeforms in the dimensional rift. Generally, they would choose to place a large number of source-type items in Class 4 dimensional rifts. Due to the lack of sacred source lifeforms, Class 4 dimensional rifts could not be upgraded to Class 5. However, when a Class 4 dimensional rift became a pinnacle Class 4 dimensional rift, the dimensional rift's production would greatly increase. Ever since Lin Yuan had asked the Coiling Dragon Valley to help him keep an eye on the Imperial Armored Martial God insects, the Coiling Dragon Valley had collected a total of 7 Imperial Armored Martial God insects for him. Now, these 7 Imperial Armored Martial God insects which were comparable to myth 2 phase, were being controlled by the heaven fragrance beauty butterfly like obedient babies. Upon hearing that the Long family had a ready-made pinnacle class 4-dimensional rift, Lin Yuan's interest was piqued. The probability of a pinnacle class 4 alien insect dimensional rift producing imperial armored martial god insects was 100 times that of a low-grade class 4 alien insect dimensional rift. It was 30 times that of a mid-grade class 4 alien insect dimensional rift. When Lin Yuan expressed that he wanted to enter the pinnacle class 4 alien insect dimensional rift, the Coiling Dragon Valley's strongest expert, Long Du, immediately expressed that he wanted to accompany Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan did not refuse. Lin Yuan had already sent Bai Yang back to the swamp world. It was undoubtedly inconvenient to call Bai Yang out for any small matter. With Long Du accompanying him, Lin Yuan could collect the imperial armored martial god insects at the fastest speed. Lin Yuan might be lucky enough to encounter the special form of alien insects like the imperial armored martial god insects. After entering the class 4 alien insect dimensional rift, Lin Yuan found that everywhere he looked was almost covered with alien insects. Just as Long Du was about to make a move, Lin Yuan released a 6-winged demon with a wave of his hand. This 6-winged demon trembled when it saw Long Du. Immediately after, Long Du saw this 6-winged demon wave its hand and sprinkle countless powder-like things. When the powder was sprinkled among the insect swarm became chaotic. A large number of strange flesh-like flowers grew among the insect swarm. Just as these alien insects were about to attack the flesh-like flowers sprayed out powder all over the sky. In an instant, flower vines covered the area under their feet. The flower vines wantonly preyed among the insect swarm, turning any alien insect that they could touch into food. Occasionally, a few powerful alien insects would be continuously added with some negative effects in this sea of flower vines. In the end, they would decay into dregs. Lin Yuan originally had the idea of using the pinnacle class 4 alien insect dimensional rift to see Red Thorn's strength. He did not expect that Red Thorn could already leave its main body and summon the sea of flowers to fight. However, compared to summoning its main body, Red Thorn's current fighting style was undoubtedly much weaker. Just as Long Du was about to summon the weak water ice jade flood dragon and let it transform into its main body, while carrying Lin Yuan to search the class 4 alien insect dimensional rift, the Black Dragon King suddenly appeared. 2 pairs of black wings suddenly extended from Lin Yuan's back. However, these 2 pairs of wings were just the beginning. More and larger black wings condensed behind Lin Yuan. In a short while, Lin Yuan was like a 12-winged black angel, flapping his wings and soaring in the sky. Lin Yuan used the 12-winged black wings to fly at a speed that secretly shocked Long Du. The increase in the source sand's strength allowed Lin Yuan's flying speed to greatly increase. This speed was already comparable to the speed of a platinum fantasy breed flying fae. More day and night spirit silver turned into feathers, allowing Lin Yuan to change the size of his wings at will. Chapter 1521. When Red Thorn preyed on plants, it had no concept of wings, or rather, it was completely indifferent. But now, Red Thorn's bloodline had transformed into a fairy source-type lifeform. In Red Thorn's subconscious, it had already regarded wings as the most attractive thing. Now, there were a total of 6 pairs of wings on Lin Yuan's back. It made Red Thorn's eyes emit little stars. Red Thorn flew up and hugged Lin Yuan's cheek, unwilling to let go. Seeing Red Thorn's infatuated look, Lin Yuan felt a little helpless. When he held Red Thorn in his hand, Red Thorn had an aggrieved expression. Lin Yuan could only allow Red Thorn to hug his cheek and rub its little face against it. Under Red Thorn's command, the sea of flowers under his feet used the alien insects as a camp. They kept spreading inside the pinnacle class 4 alien insect dimensional rift. Wherever Lin Yuan went, the sea of flowers under his feet opened up a path. The sea of flowers formed by nibbling vines was the best screening machine. While killing the weak alien insects on the surface, only those powerful alien insects were left. Lin Yuan did not let Long Du make a move against these powerful alien insects. Lin Yuan released 12 heavenly fragrance beauty butterflies. The 5 heavenly fragrance beauty butterflies that did not control the imperial armored martial god insects controlled these powerful alien insects. Then, he let the other 7 heavenly fragrance beauty butterflies control the imperial armored martial god insects and turn their carapace into sharp blades. He had to kill all the alien insects that were being controlled. The heavenly fragrance beauty butterflies' method of killing the alien insects in the name of love was extremely demonic among the insect corpses. This ability belonged to the butterfly type phase among the insect type phase. However, compared to purple firmament, these heavenly fragrance beauty butterflies' charm ability was much weaker. Soon, Lin Yuan found the goal of his trip. The imperial armored martial god insects were extremely aggressive insect type phase. Especially when they saw their own kind, they would often fight to the death. Even when they saw the opposite sex, they would still kill. They would only show mercy when they encountered the opposite sex during the mating phase. This population characteristic destined the imperial armored martial god insects to be rare. It was precisely this characteristic that made each imperial armored martial god insect a battle-hardened warrior. Lin Yuan saw the 2 emperor armored martial god insects that were like Gundams fiercely colliding with each other with their insect blades. One of the royal armored martial god insects was obviously severely injured. However, the strength of this injured imperial armored martial god insect was slightly stronger than the other uninjured imperial armored martial god insect. This meant that the emperor armored martial god bug's injuries were not caused during the battle. At the same time, Lin Yuan keenly discovered that the carapace on the back of this injured imperial armored martial god insect had split from its original 2 halves into 4 halves. It made the 4 halves of the carapace on its back feel like 4 wings of steel. At that time, Lin Yuan had seen the imperial armored martial god insect in Lan Qin's Fey observation room. That was why he decided to use the royal armored martial god insects to pull the Fey carriage. The injured royal armored martial god insect in front of him had obviously mutated. It was just that the mutation was not complete. Lin Yuan did not immediately intervene in the battle between the 2 royal armored martial god insects. Instead, he was prepared to wait and see. When Lan Qin introduced the mutated emperor armored martial god bug, she had said that the emperor armored martial god bug's mutation would only last for an instant. Every time an emperor armored martial god insect gains enlightenment in a life or death situation, its wings will split open once. Thus, it can turn its wings into its own weapon to make up for its shortcomings in attack. Because this mutated emperor armored martial god insect's injuries are too severe. Even if it uses the 4 wings on its back to fight, it is still gradually at a disadvantage. After being slashed several times by the opposite emperor armored martial god insect's insect blades, this seriously injured emperor armored martial god insect tried its best to resist with its carapace. Perhaps it felt the threat of death, or the mutated genes had broken through its own limits. The thicker end of the carapace split open again. The 4 wings, which originally only had a wingspan of 6 meters, instantly became 6 wings with a wingspan of 13 meters. The 6 wings overlapped and instantly beheaded the emperor armored martial god insect that had launched a fierce attack on him. Although he had lost an emperor armored martial god insect in this battle, Lin Yuan did not mind at all. Compared to an ordinary emperor armored martial god insect, Lin Yuan was more willing to have an emperor armored martial god insect that had mutated twice. This emperor armored martial god insect that had mutated twice was already roughly the same as the specimen in Lan Qin's Fey observation room. Lin Yuan let the only heavenly fragrance beauty butterfly that had broken through control this emperor armored martial god insect that had mutated twice. As a result, this emperor armored martial god insect had just experienced an intense battle and became a subject under the heavenly fragrance beauty butterfly's skirt. Lin Yuan was very lucky in this trip to the Pinnacle Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift. It just happened to fill the gap of 5 emperor armored martial god insects. After leaving the opening Dragon Valley and returning to the mansion, Lin Yuan first threw all 9 pieces of the mountain-containing embryo to the source sand. He let the source sand slowly absorb the mountain-containing embryo. If an elemental source-type lifeform like the source sand wanted to improve its quality, it needed a certain amount of time to accumulate. However, before the Radiance 100 sequence, the source sand's quality could always be improved to Fantasy V. Blackie was originally a water-type Fae, and so was the weak water ice jade flood dragon. Therefore, The weak water ice jade flood dragon's essence blood was the most suitable nourishment for Blackie. 3 drops of the weak water ice jade flood dragon's essence blood allowed Blackie's quality to improve all the way to Fantasy V. The Fantasy V Blackie's body expanded once again. It grew from its original length of 100 meters to nearly 300 meters. This length made Blackie look exceptionally mighty and domineering. However, when he thought of Blackie's goose-like personality, Lin Yuan could not help but complain. Looks are indeed the best at bluffing. Other than the change in body size, the grade upgrade this time was different. Lin Yuan realized that Blackie actually had the ability to control the clouds. While flying, he could use the clouds to shield his body and command the clouds to create thunder and rain. It was a power that could only be grasped by a flood dragon species Fae when it became a main dragon species. Now that Little Black could faintly control the clouds, it meant that Little Black had mutated into a main dragon species. Anyway, he still had 2 drops of essence blood of the weak water ice jade jiao in his hands. Lin Yuan decided to feed Blackie the 2 drops of the weak water ice jade flood dragon's essence blood. If he couldn't upgrade it to a main dragon species Fae, he would treat it as a waste of essence blood. Once it became a main dragon species Fae, Blackie's bloodline would overturn the common understanding that there were no main dragon species below the myth breed. In the eyes of some creation masters, this understanding couldn't be broken. However, in this half a year, Lin Yuan had broken common sense and understanding countless times. His Blackie had always been nurtured with the best method, so it wasn't impossible to break common sense and understanding. As expected, Blackie didn't disappoint Lin Yuan. Instant Beast Evolution Quotient. Please bookmark this site so that you can read it online the next time there's an update. The mobile version was updated the fastest. Chapter 1522. With 2 drops of rudimentary ice jade jiao's blood essence, Blackie's dragon power suddenly increased by a level. A large amount of clouds gathered around Blackie, making its 300-meter-long body faintly discernible. Golden lightning swam within the clouds, and a torrential rain suddenly fell. A domineering and arrogant dragon roar echoed throughout the return from faraway manor. It symbolized the arrival of a master dragon. The angelfish of bliss in the hidden WRM lake had gotten used to Blackie's presence. Knowing that Blackie would not harm them, they no longer hid from him. But now that Blackie's aura had changed, these angelfish of bliss began to hide from him again. Lin Yuan estimated that in the past 2 weeks, it would be very difficult to see the rainbow figure swimming freely. It would be very difficult to see the rainbow figure swimming freely in the hidden WRM lake. In the boundless night, a wild laughter came from the mouth of a golden-haired uncle. Second page of revival. We are both kings on this trip. Don't expect me to assist you. The golden-haired uncle had an incomparably righteous face. This long face made the middle-aged man feel that whatever he did was righteous. The girl next door with a pair of grey wings behind her looked at the golden-haired uncle with dead eyes. His tone sounded like he was singing a funeral song. 6th page whipping. I don't care what you do on this trip. But in the Radiance Federation, when I need to use the sacred source lifeform, the Black Mass Cup, you have to activate it. I have lost contact with the 2 seeds of the garden-haired konjac and one of the clusters. I can no longer sense their presence by relying on the main body of the garden-haired konjac. I released these 2 seeds and clusters to absorb energy for the advancement of the round garden-haired konjac. Now that the main body of the garden-haired konjac is missing, I can't retrieve the seeds and clusters. The garden-haired konjac will never be able to cross that threshold. Baidu search. This will affect the 100-year plan of our tower cannon, the revival of the hibernators. Don't forget what Lady Scarlet told you when you came here. 6th page whipping's expression changed slightly when he heard 2nd page of revival. His sharp eyes stared at 2nd page of revival. The destiny page is dead, but the tower cannons page will be replaced soon. I asked 3 pages eternal sin, and he doesn't know who this Scarlet page is. As soon as Scarlet page arrived, he revealed his strength and gave us a show of strength. No one truly respects him, yet you call him Lord. It seems like the 2nd page of Renaissance knows the identity of the 1st page of Scarlet. I am the esteemed 6th page of the Pagoda Canon, but the more I think about it, the more I feel that even I, the grand sixth page, cannot see through the pagoda cannon. If you want me to use the black mass chalice, you should at least give me a reason. The consequences of the black mass cup's activation will cause the radiant side to immediately retaliate against our tower cannon. When second page revival heard sixth page whip's words, his expression changed. From the original deathly stillness and resentment, she became as pure as the girl next door. You only need to know how to use the cup of black mass. The 100-year plan of the pagoda cannon and the resurrection of the slumbering ones cannot be lost. Lord Crimson Page will handle Hui Yarrow's revenge. When sixth page whip heard second page revival's words, a playful expression appeared on his face. At the same time, deep fear flashed in his eyes. It was as if he was thinking about the red fingers engraved with a strange totem under the crimson robe. When he thought about the red fingers engraved with the strange totem, sixth page whip could not help but shiver. Could it be that the legendary person could live for thousands of years without dying? In a Blackstone castle, the youth looked at the young girl who was holding a mop and grabbed the mop. He said to the young girl unhappily, "Big sister, I am now an Earth Mother. There are so many servants in the Blackstone castle now. You don't need to work anymore." The young girl rubbed the soft curly hair on the youth's head with her palm and said, "Big sister, I am now an Earth Mother. There are so many servants serving in the Blackstone castle now. You don't need to work anymore." When the young girl heard that, she used her palm to rub the soft curly hair on the youth's head. "If you don't let me, I don't know what I can do. If you don't let big sister do it, I don't know what I can do in a day. Big sister doesn't have the talent to be a spirit chi professional, so I can't help you." When the youth heard that, his eyes could not help but turn red. Even if the lords in the stars had allowed him to become a creation master and old Mother Earth, he would not be able to do so. The people around him who had bullied him in the past had all become respectful of him and were trying to please him. But his sister would always be the same as before. However, the young man's stubbornness came out, and he didn't want his sister to do any more hard work. Suddenly, the youth thought of an idea and said to the girl, "Sis, you don't have the talent of a spirit chi professional, but you can still contract some special source-type items. Sister, didn't you like to arrange flowers and draw since you were young? I love looking at Big Sister's paintings. When Big Sister contracts source-type items in the future, I'll help Big Sister strengthen them, and Big Sister can go and do some flower arrangements, okay?" Hearing this, the young girl was slightly startled. He did not expect that there would be a day when he could contract source-type items without the talent of a spirit chi professional. She knew how stubborn her younger brother could be since he was young. The girl decided to agree first. Her younger brother had grown up. If only her father and mother were still alive. They would probably have a smile on their faces. "I really don't know who the benefactor that my brother has been talking about is. I wish I could thank him in person." At this moment, a voice came from the door. A middle-aged man with a face full of embroidery knocked on the door respectfully. After getting a response, he walked in and said, "Lord Bu Po, Heavenly Mother wishes to see you." This middle-aged man was a strong practitioner at the peak of king level, and he was an inspector that Heavenly Mother had sent to Mother Earth Palace. This kind of supervisory attendant sent down by Heavenly Mother didn't need to be too polite to Mother Earth in the underground castle. However, the middle-aged man knew how astonishing the talent of the youth in front of him was. He actually completed the Class 3 Creation Master exam. This matter not only alarmed the Heavenly Mother, but even the Divine Mother received the news. In the future, this young man would probably become a disciple that even the Heavenly Mother would have to bow to. Bu Po nodded and said, "I'll go see Heavenly Mother immediately." At night, Bu Po returned to the Blackstone fort in a daze. He felt that everything was like a dream. He was actually going to the Imperial City to pay his respects to the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother would personally test him and decide whether or not to accept him as a disciple. This was an honor that Bu Po didn't even dare to dream of. With this honor, Bu Po was even more grateful to the man with the code name Lion among the stars. This kind of gratitude even surpassed Bu Po's sense of belonging to the Divine Mother Federation. If it wasn't for that lord, Bu Po knew that his sister would have died after being defiled. His injuries would have even caused him to die before his sister. Bu Po put his palms together and thought to himself, "If I can become the Divine Mother's disciple, I'm willing to repay the Lord with the Divine Mother Federation for saving my sister and saving my sister's life." Instant update Beast Evolution Quotient. Please bookmark this site so that you can read it online the next time there's an update. The mobile version was updated the fastest. Chapter 1523. After making his wish, the young man stood up, turned around, and ran toward his sister's room. He shouted from his mouth, "Sister, we're going to the capital tomorrow." In a tavern filled with the smell of oysters, a man was sitting next to a dark, skinny youth. He said as he drank the blood wine in his cup, "Little monkey, next time you see someone causing trouble, drag him out and beat him to death. Although we're running a tavern, our business is to escort ships at sea. This is not a place for these troublemakers to drink and cause trouble." Somehow, he had escaped from the sea. Warren began to enjoy drinking blood wine and eating sawfin shark meat. The blood wine reminded Warren of how his brother had bled for him when he was in a desperate situation. The sawfin shark meat reminded Warren to be on guard against any incoming danger. Warren was still as kind to the crew as ever, but he was still the same. These crew members were Warren's sworn brothers who had been through life and death together. However, it was undeniable that the little monkey had become the person that Warren valued the most. Little Monkey said seriously after hearing Warren's words, "Brother Warren, if anyone dares to cause trouble again, I'll definitely use the rudder to chop off their heads. Those who are drunk and causing trouble here are mostly people sent by other fleets to gather information. We don't have any girls here. Which decent sailor would come to our inn to drink?" Warren narrowed his eyes and glared at the little monkey. "Damn it, do you have some kind of misunderstanding about a proper sailor?" Warren patted the little monkey's shoulder and said, "Go and inform them first. Although there are only 7 fleets this time, I will lead them on a big one. Let them see with their own eyes that the sawtooth sharks are no longer a nightmare for ships. Our tavern will naturally become lively." Warren stared at the dim lights in the tavern. It was as if he could see through the flames and see the man surrounded by rules and wills among the stars. Warren, who possessed the diamond fantasy breed blue-ringed giant octopus, was much stronger than before. It was precisely because of this that Warren understood the man codenamed Lion better. What kind of power did it possess? His entire team's annual income at sea wasn't even enough to invite a Class 4 creation master to take action once. That figure actually used an unbelievable method to accomplish something that only Class 4 creation masters could do. At the same time, Warren knew that the figure didn't just possess the resources of a Class 4 creation master. How could an ordinary Class 4 creation master obtain a bronze legend Fae? That figure was Warren's secret and also Warren's benefactor. Most of the navigators of the Storm Federation believed in a god. On the masts of ships sailing on the sea, there were always carvings of sea dragons. It was rumored that in the depths of the sea around the Storm Federation, there was a huge sea dragon sleeping at the bottom of the sea. This legend had always been passed down by the navigators. But not long ago, Warren erased the sea dragon totem on the mast of the Warren. Warren carved 2 thrones on the mast according to his memory. A man with a Leo nebula above his head sat on a throne. On the other throne sat a woman with a Libra nebula above her head. Compared to the illusory sea dragon, Warren believed in these 2 figures more. For the god in Warren's heart. As he stood up, a cold light flashed across Warren's eyes. For the sake of resources, the voyagers were always fighting over them. They were not willing to unite. However, his god wanted him to establish a faction. As for those voyagers who only wanted to fight for resources, he could only apologize. Anyone who obstructed his path had to die. Only those who were obedient would be able to survive. It was unknown if it was because he had contracted the blue-ringed sea octopus and had more interactions with it. Due to the influence of the blue-ringed sea octopus, Warren became more and more iron-blooded. However, only iron-blooded people would be able to achieve their goals more easily. It would also be easier to protect his old comrades. Based on the time, it should be almost 7 days. Warren was looking forward to the second gathering among the stars. At that moment, Warren felt a nebula among the stars giving him guidance. Warren's heart immediately became excited. After giving some instructions, Warren returned to his room. After locking the door, Warren responded to the call of the nebula. After 7 days, the gathering among the stars was going to start again. This time, it wasn't just Yin Lin. Bei Shu, Talari, Bu Po, and Warren were also participating. Sui Iran, who was in the Divine Wood Federation, also accepted this guidance. Su Ren would accept the guidance, but not because he had something to do at the Celestial Body Assembly. Not long ago, when Lin Yuan had helped the myth breed phase through the world cleansing and harvested spirit chi crystals. He had been to the Divine Wood Federation once. At that time, he had provided Sui Iran with all the supplies for the flourishing Chamber of Commerce for 3 months. At the same time, he had given her 20 pairs of bronze epic walnuts. Holding these walnuts, Sui Iran thought for a long time. She had finally decided to choose 12 pairs of bronze epic walnuts and make them into core bells. They hung on the 14 millet fruits. This could not only enhance the Love Square's prestige but also attract the descendants of the wealthy families in the Divine Wood Federation. To Su Iran, these descendants of the rich and powerful were the perfect source of information. They could help her obtain information that only the major factions would circulate in the Divine Wood Federation. Lin Yuan had already said that he would not come to the Divine Wood Federation in the short term. He had asked her to deal with the Divine Wood Federation's matters. At the same time, he had given her a magical piece of paper that could be written on with her spiritual power. Through the paper, even if she was on 2 different continents, she could still exchange information very well. But for some reason, Sui Iran really wanted to have the opportunity to sit face to face with Lin Yuan. Therefore, even if Sui Iran was fine, after feeling the guidance, she still came to join in the fun. Lin Yuan, who was sitting on the golden throne of the Leo constellation, looked at the 6 people who had received guidance and nodded. It seemed that Bu Po and Warren had survived. Before Lin Yuan could say anything, Bu Po spoke with gratitude. "Lion, because of your help, my elder sister has escaped from the abyss of suffering. I have also become a Class 3 creation master. I'm Mother Earth now. I heard from the Heavenly Mother who tested me that she wants to take me to see the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother is very likely to accept me as a disciple." When Bu Po saw Lin Yuan, it was as if she had seen a family member. She told him her experience without any scruples. Bei Shu and Trey did not react to Bu Po's words. With Bei Shu and Trey's information reserves, they had never heard of Earth Mother, Heavenly Mother, or the Divine Mother. However, Sui Iran, who was a Dark Envoy, and Azure Envoy, were not unfamiliar with the Divine Mother Federation. They were no strangers to the Divine Mother Federation, which had Class 5 creation masters.